Chapter 322. 322 Chapter 322 Recovering to the Peak. The power distribution of the Inu Empire and the Burning Sun Empire was completely different. In the Dark Moon Empire, the royal family was extremely powerful and controlled everything. There were a series of powerful aristocratic families that obeyed the royal family and ruled the mountains and rivers. Sutian City was extremely majestic and was one of the top 10 cities in the Dark Moon Empire. The Mo family of Sutian City was also extremely prosperous and could be ranked in the top 10 among the major families in the Dark Moon Empire. On the way, Lu Ming learned a lot of information. For example, Moing was originally a branch family disciple of the Mo family, but she had amazing talent and was heavily nurtured by the Mo family. Now, she was already one of the top 5 geniuses of the Mo family, and her cultivation had reached the one-stage martial ancestor realm. With such a status, the treatment in the Mo family would not be bad. They would have an independent courtyard and a dozen servants. As soon as they returned to the Mo family, Moing brought Lu Ming to her courtyard so that Lu Ming could recover better. In a guest room in Moing courtyard, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. With a wave of his hand, a pile of spiritual herbs appeared beside him. At this point, Lu Ming could finally relax and recover to his heart's content. Immediately, he activated the 10,000 spirit war body and transformed the spiritual herbs and medicines into the chi of 10,000 spirits. The chi of 10,000 spirits seeped into his body and quickly healed Lu Ming's injuries. Lu Ming's physical body was recovering rapidly. A few hours later, Lu Ming was done with the recovery of his physical body. He circulated the True War Dragon technique to recover his essential chi. It was already evening when he finished his cultivation. Thump thump thump. There was a knock on the door. Lu Ming opened the door and it was Moing. Obviously, Moing had just finished washing up, and her hair was still wet and stuck to her face. He had to admit that Moing was indeed very beautiful. Among all the women Lu Ming had seen, Moing was only slightly inferior to Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, Qiu Yu and Mulan. She was a rare beauty. "Brother Lu, this is the healing pill I just bought. Take it and heal your wounds." Moing took out a few jade bottles and handed them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony. He took the jade bottle and smiled. "Many thanks, Miss Mo." "You're welcome. I won't disturb Brother Lu's healing." Moing didn't say much. After a polite word, she turned around and left. After Moing left, Lu Ming raised his head and looked in the direction of the north. That direction was deep in the Mo family. Lu Ming did not know why, but when he arrived at the Mo family, he felt that there was something deep within the Mo family that was attracting him. To be more precise, it was attracting the 9 dragon bloodlines, making them feel jubilant. What exactly does the Mo family have? It actually caused the bloodline of the 9 dragons to feel jubilant. It seems that I will have to stay in the Mo family for a while. Lu Ming looked in that direction and pondered. After pondering for a while, Lu Ming returned to his room to recuperate. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. After 5 days of recuperation, Lu Ming's injuries had fully recovered and his cultivation had returned to its peak. To be able to completely recover from such a serious injury in just 5 days was extremely shocking. This was completely due to his deity-grade cultivation technique, the True War Dragon technique, and his 5th stage physical body. In the past 5 days, Moing often came to visit him, but she did not mention anything about treating her. I wonder what the local customs of the Dark Moon Empire are like? It's rare for me to come here, so I'll go and experience it. Lu Ming smiled. Then, he walked out of Mo Ying's courtyard and casually strolled around Su Tiancheng. Sutian City was really huge. In the Blazing Sun Empire, Lu Ming had only seen a city bigger than Sutian City in the Blazing Sun Imperial capital. On the streets there was an endless stream of martial artists giving off powerful auras, and the streets were surrounded by a forest of shops. There were all sorts of strange items and some of them were the specialty products of the Dark Moon Empire. Lu Ming had only read about them in books in the past. Now that he had seen the real thing, he could not help but buy some. "Little bastard, stop right there." Lu Ming had only been shopping for a while when a cold voice came from behind. Lu Ming turned around and could not help but sneer. wasn't the person who had come Mo Bing. Mo Bing's face was dark as he strode towards Lu Ming with 4 burly men. Who's the little bastard calling? Lu Ming said indifferently. Of course I'm calling you little bastard. Mo Bing said coldly. Oh, so it's the little bastard who called me. Hello little bastard. Lu Ming said with a smile. You win. Only then did Mo Bing react, and his face turned livid. As for the 4 burly men behind him, they almost couldn't hold back their laughter. However, their bodies were slightly trembling, and it was obvious that they were having a hard time holding it in. You have a sharp tongue. Do you want to die? Mo Bing's expression was extremely ugly. He stared at Lu Ming coldly and said, I think your injuries have almost recovered during this period of time. In that case, you should get out of the Mo family as soon as possible. Mo Ying's courtyard is not a place you can stay in. The longer you stay, the more miserable your death will be. Oh, was it? I'd like to try. Lu Ming smiled and did not care. Brat, have you taken a fancy to that girl Mo Ying and are trying to get her? Let me tell you, the young prince has taken a fancy to Mo Ying. Whoever tries to get her is going against the young prince, and only death awaits them. Mo Bing threatened. Young prince? Who does he think he is? Lu Ming said indifferently. Mo Bing's expression changed as he shouted, Brat, you're courting death. Men attack. Break his legs and throw him out of Su Tiancheng. Yes. Behind Mo Bing, the 4 burly men answered in unison. They strode forward, exuding a powerful aura as they closed in on Lu Ming. 9th grade Great Martial Master Realm. The 4 burly men were all 9th grade Great Martial Masters. Buzz, buzz. The 4 burly men attacked at the same time, aiming at Lu Ming's hands and feet. This was to cripple his 4 limbs in one blow. Bang, 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 bang. The next moment, 4 crisp sounds rang out, and 4 tall figures flew far away and fell to the ground. Each of them held an arm and wailed endlessly. It was the 4 burly men. At this moment, each of them had an arm twisted into a fried dough twist, broken into 7 or 8 pieces. Mo Bing was stunned. He blinked his eyes hard, thinking that he was dreaming. The 4 9th grade Great Martial Masters had their arms broken in an instant and were sent flying. He did not even see how Lu Ming had attacked. How was that possible? This dying man that they had randomly met on the side of the road was actually this strong. Could he be a martial arts grandmaster level genius? Did you just say you were going to break my legs? Lu Ming smiled and walked towards Mo Bing. Mo Bing's expression changed drastically, and he could not help but step back as he cried out, What the fuck are you doing? I'm an elite disciple of the Mo family. These servants can't compare to me. If you dare to touch me, I will make sure you can't leave Su Tiancheng. However, Lu Ming was unmoved. He walked towards Mo Bing step by step. Mo Bing's face started to break out in a cold sweat, and his eyes were filled with fear. Finally he screamed, turned around and ran. Lu Ming sneered coldly. He flicked his fingers and shot out a few streams of energy, which hit Mo Bing's legs. Mo Bing screamed and fell to the ground, wailing in pain. Chapter 323. 323 Help. Mo Bing's legs were broken by Lu Ming and blood was flowing out. Oh! Mo Bing wailed in pain and even his tears flowed out. A large number of people in the surroundings watched in shock. Mo Bing was the genius disciple of the Mo family, and was very famous in Sutian City. Someone actually dared to break his leg? Who was this person? Many people sized Lu Ming up and guessed secretly. What are you shouting for? Now get lost. Lu Ming shouted angrily. As if they had been granted amnesty, the 4 burly men struggled to get up, supported Mo Bing with their other hand and ran away. Lu Ming did not care and continued to stroll on the streets. After strolling around for a while, he walked back. Just as she returned to Mo Ying's courtyard, she met Mo Ying. Brother Lu, how are your injuries? Mo Ying asked. I'm almost done. Lu Ming nodded and smiled. Then that. Mo Ying stammered and stopped. Let's go and take a look at the essential qi in your body. Lu Ming smiled. Good. Mo Ying was overjoyed. Not long after, Lu Ming and Mo Ying came to her bedroom. Mo Ying's bedroom was elegantly decorated and had a faint fragrance. The two of them sat cross-legged on the bed. After that, Lu Ming and Mo Ying's palms pressed against each other. Lu Ming transferred a stream of essential qi into Mo Ying's body. Mo Ying's genuine qi was strong and condensed, and it was extremely cold. However, within the cold true qi, there were traces of hot true qi that were intertwined with the cold true qi. As a result, Mo Ying's Zhan qi was not pure, which would greatly interfere with her cultivation. Sometimes the cold and heat would alternate, which was extremely painful. Only by removing the burning genuine qi could Mo Ying's restraint be removed. At that time, Mo Ying's cultivation speed would be even faster. It's indeed the true qi produced by the cloud dragon. It's actually in the shape of a dragon. Lu Ming realized that Mo Ying's cold and hot vital energy had formed the shape of a dragon, like small dragons entwining together. It was very similar to the true qi cultivated from the true war dragon technique, but the dragon-shaped true qi cultivated from the true war dragon technique was more realistic and vivid. After observing for a while, Lu Ming retracted his essential qi. "Brother Lu, how is it? Can it expel the yang attribute true qi?" Mo Ying asked nervously. This concerned her future path of martial arts, so he was naturally nervous. Lu Ming nodded. There shouldn't be any major problems. The two types of essential qi are intertwined too deeply. It's not something that can be completely expelled in 1 or 2 days. I estimate that it will take about 10 days. It's okay. It's worth it no matter how much time I spend. Mo Ying said excitedly. She had already endured it for more than 10 years, so why would she care about 10 days? Thereafter, Lu Ming placed his palm on Mo Ju's spine and channeled essential qi. Roar! A cloud dragon that was as white as jade emerged from Mo Yi's body and roared at Lu Ming. How audacious! Lu Ming's eyes lit up and the 9-dragon bloodline emerged. It was clearly in the shape of a python, but when the cloud dragon saw the bloodline of the 9 dragons, it seemed to be terrified. With a wail, it directly sank into Mo Ying's back and didn't dare to move. Swallow! Lu Ming's palm exuded a powerful devouring force. As he pressed it against Mo Ying's back, the devouring force gushed out. The yang-type true qi in Mo Ying's true qi was instantly extracted and refined by Lu Ming, as if he was extracting silk from a cocoon. Wisps of it, although not very fast, were very stable. Mo Ying's delicate body trembled slightly, and fine beads of sweat oozed out of her body. 2 hours later, Lu Ming stopped. Who? Mo Ying let out a long breath, then carefully observed her own true qi, and then trembled with excitement. It's really stripped. Mo Ying turned around excitedly and looked at Lu Ming with excitement and gratitude. This time, I've only extracted a portion of it. It looks like it'll take another 8 or 9 days. Lu Ming said. Thank you, Lu Ming. Mo Ying had already forgotten her awkwardness and was extremely excited. The problem that had troubled her for so many years was finally going to be so levered. Then we'll continue tomorrow. Lu Ming smiled. And good. Mo Ying nodded happily. Following that, Lu Ming would spend 2 hours a day to help Mo Ying extract the yang-type essential qi. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed, and the yang-type true qi in Mo Ying's body had almost been stripped away. Mo Ying circulated her true qi, and her speed instantly increased by several times. It was extremely smooth, and she even broke through a realm in one go, reaching the 2nd grade of martial ancestor realm. On the 8th day, just as Lu Ming was stripping away the remaining yang-type essential qi for Mo Ying, there was a sudden noise and screams from outside. Young prince, missing is really cultivating. Mo Ying's servants called out. Chapter 324. 324 Chapter 324 The Young Prince. Get lost. A few lowly ants dare to block the young prince's way. Are you tired of living? Oh. An old man with a big belly shouted and waved his palm. Mo Ying's servants were sent flying far away and fell to the ground. One side of their faces was already swollen and blood was flowing from their mouths. Behind the big-bellied old man, a young man in luxurious clothes with a sinister face walked in. Young prince, please spare my life. This lowly one didn't lie. Miss Emoing is currently cultivating in seclusion, and has ordered us not to disturb her no matter what. A maidservant in her 20s knelt on the ground and said with a trembling body, "Can't be disturbed? Who did Emoing think she was?" The little prince coming to see her was a blessing that she had accumulated over several lifetimes. What could be more important than the little prince? "Hurry up and report this or I'll kill you all." The pregnant old man shouted coldly as he looked at the maidservant with a ferocious expression. "Young prince, young miss, she really?" The maidservant wanted to continue, but the pregnant old man was already impatient. He shouted, "You're really looking for death." Bang! The pot-bellied old man slapped the other side of the maidservant's face. The maidservant screamed and flew far away. She fell to the ground and passed out. When the other servants saw this, they trembled in fear. "Hurry up and call your miss out. Otherwise she'll be a role model." The pregnant old man pointed at the maidservant and coldly said, "Squeak." At this moment Mo Ying's door opened. Lu Ming and Emoing walked out of the room one after another. When the young prince saw Lu Ming walking out of Mo Ying's room with her, he was stunned. Then, his handsome face contorted, he pointed at Lu Ming and screamed, little bastard, you actually dare to enter Mo Ying's room. What are you two doing inside? Damn it. And you little bitch, I came here to see you. Not only did you stand me up, but you also closed your door and refused to see me for 7 days. So you're with this little bastard. I'm going to kill you." "Hey, who are you? You're barking like a mad dog. Have you taken the wrong medicine? Also, we're both unmarried. We're just hiding in the room doing what we should do. It's none of your business." Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at the young prince and said indifferently, You. The young prince was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming actually dared to speak to him in this manner. Did he eat a flood dragon's gallbladder? Also, the young prince really wanted to shout, "It's none of my bird business," but of course, he forcefully held back his words. "Kid, do you know who I am?" The young prince took a deep breath and spoke slowly. He reckoned that Lu Ming did not know who he was. He wanted to announce his name and make Lu Ming feel fear, panic and fear. Then, he would kill Lu Ming and let him know what regret was. "Who are you? Does it have anything to do with me?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "You." The young prince was stunned for a moment. Then he took a deep breath to calm himself down and continued, "You listen well, I am the only son of Zhennan Wang, the young prince of Zhennan Wang Fu." With that, the young prince looked at Lu Ming arrogantly, hoping to see fear, panic and fear on Lu Ming's face. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Lu Ming seemed to have heard the name of a nobody, and did not have any reaction at all. Lu Ming said indifferently, "So it's the son of some dog shit Duke of the South. So the sons of the Duke are all idiots." What did you just say? You're looking for death. You're looking for death." The young prince was so angry that he was trembling. He pointed at Lu Ming and kept screaming, "Abby!" Emoing rushed to the unconscious servant girl and checked her injuries. Then, he looked at the young prince angrily and said, "Young prince, Abai was only following my orders. Aren't you being too harsh? Heavy-handed? Emoing, she's just a lowly servant girl. She doesn't know any respect, yet she dares to make excuses in front of me. I'm teaching her a lesson on your behalf." The young prince gritted his teeth and forced himself to calm down. "You." Mo Ying's pretty face was livid with anger. "What respect? You keep saying that others are lowly, but in my opinion, you're just a trash who relies on your father's influence." Lu Ming said indifferently, "Audacious, impudent, lowly ant, you dare to call me trash? You have committed a grave crime. Today no one can save you. If I don't kill you, I'm not a human." The young prince cried out hysterically. Lu Ming actually dared to call him trash? A lowly ant actually dared to call him trash. Rebellious. Isn't it? You think you're high and mighty, superior to others, but what do you rely on? Power or strength? Lu Ming sneered. "I have power, I have strength, I was born noble. How can you lowly ants compare to me?" The young prince shouted. "Oh really? Since that's the case, you're nothing but a pile of dog shit in front of me." Lu Ming said. "What? What did you just say? Damn it, kill him for me, I want to grind his bones to dust, skin him and pull out his tendons. The young prince roared madly. Little bastard, die. The pot-bellied old man had been holding it in for a long time. At this time he roared angrily and aimed a palm at Lu Ming's face. He might be fat, but he was as fast as lightning. His cultivation had already reached the 3rd level of the martial ancestor realm. In an instant it was close to Lu Ming and was about to slap his face. Brother Lu, be careful. Quickly run. Emoing exclaimed. However, Lu Ming stood there without moving. Just as the big-bellied old man's palm was about to land on Lu Ming's face, Lu Ming kicked him. It was impossible to describe how fast this kick was. The kick arrived first despite launching later, and it landed heavily on the round stomach of the big-bellied old man. His stomach sank in like a rubber ball, and his eyes were like dead fish popping out. Ah! With a scream, the old man with the big belly was sent flying backward like a swollen ball. Buzz! Lu Ming moved and caught up with the pregnant old man in an instant. He slapped him. Pa! A crisp sound of a slap was heard. The old man with the big belly was sent spinning dozens of times in the air by Lu Ming's slap before he fell heavily to the ground. Boom! A human-shaped pit appeared on the ground. The old man with the big belly was lying in the pit, twitching continuously, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. The entire place was silent. Everyone, including Emoing, looked at Lu Ming in a daze. The big-bellied old man in the 3rd level of the martial arts grandmaster realm was beaten up by Lu Ming, as if he was an ant. He was half dead after 2 punches. Lu Ming was actually such a terrifying expert. Previously, although Emoing knew that Lu Ming was very powerful, she had guessed that Lu Ming should be just a little stronger than her. However, at this moment she knew that she was wrong. She was terribly wrong. Lu Ming's ability was far beyond her imagination. Good hit! Emo Ying's servants roared in their hearts, feeling extremely refreshed. Previously, the pot-bellied old man had been so arrogant and regarded them as ants. Now they were like dead dogs. Little bastard, how dare you hit my people? How dare you? The young prince reacted and shouted. Chapter 325. 325. I'm stronger than you. Who said I only hit your people? Oh. Lu Ming smiled and walked toward the young prince. The young prince's expression changed drastically, and he cried out in disbelief, "What are you doing? You dare to hit me? You're going against your superior, you're disgraceful." Pa! Lu Ming responded with a slap. The young prince did not even have time to react before he was slapped in the face by Lu Ming. He spun 3 times before he stopped. He looked at Lu Ming in a daze, completely dumbfounded. Lu Ming actually dared to hit him. In the Dark Moon Empire, the royal family had supreme authority. His father, Zhenan Wang, led all the troops in the south of the Dark Moon Empire. It could be said that he was a figure who was second only to one person and above all. As the only son of the Duke of the South, his status was extremely noble. No one had ever dared to disobey him, let alone hit him. He even suspected that he was dreaming. However, the piercing pain on his face told him that this was real and not a dream. Hence, he shouted hysterically, "Arg! You dare to hit me? You dare to hit me? You're dead. Your whole family is dead. No one can save you." Pa! Lu Ming threw another slap at the other side of his face. The young prince's eyes were filled with stars, and he was completely dumbfounded. He forcibly swallowed back the long string of vicious words that followed. "You said that you have power, strength, and are high above others, that you see others as lowly ants and can bully them as you wish. But now I'm stronger than you, so you're also an ant in front of me. Am I wrong to say that you're a pile of lowly dog shit?" Lu Ming stared at the young prince and said coldly, "Fuck me, fuck me." The little prince's face was swollen like a pig's head. He looked at Lu Ming in horror. No matter how stupid he was, he could tell that Lu Ming was not afraid of him at all. He did not know what to say at that moment. "What's wrong? You don't dare to speak? Where's your courage?" Lu Ming's eyes were like 2 sharp swords, shining and dazzling as he stared at the young prince. The young prince felt a chill run down his spine. He retreated and shouted, What do you want to do? My father's army is not far from Sutian City. If you dare to touch me, not only will you die, but the Mo family will also be buried with you. Oh really? Then I'll kill you first and see what your father can do to me. Lu Ming sneered. He was not moved at all. He took a step forward and a cold killing intent burst out, making the scene seem as if it was winter. Don't! Don't! Two loud shouts rang out at the same time. One of them was from the young prince. He screamed in fear, almost scared out of his wits. The other one was from Mo Ying. Lu Ming frowned slightly and stopped. Brother Lu. He is the son of Duke of the South. If he dies in the Mo family, Duke of the South will be angry and the Mo family will be razed to the ground. Please spare his life, Brother Lu. Mo Ying requested. Lu Ming nodded. He looked at the young prince and chided. I'll spare your life for the sake of Miss Mo Ying's plea for you. Hurry up and get lost. The young prince felt as if he had been pardoned. Ignoring the pregnant old man, he turned around and ran off, disappearing from this place in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not continue to attack. It was not that he let the tiger return to the mountain. Just like what Mo Ying had said, he was not afraid of killing the young prince, but it would definitely implicate Mo Ying and the Mo family. Brother Lu, I've implicated you. Mo Ying walked to Lu Ming's side and said apologetically. Haha, what does this have to do with you? It's normal to encounter such brainless idiots everywhere. Lu Ming said with a smile. Immediately after, they helped Ah Bai heal her injuries. Not long after, an angry roar came from a luxurious mansion in Sutian City. Damn little bitch, damn bastard, die. Die. Damn it, if I don't kill you, I'm not a human. In a large hall, the young prince's face was twisted with rage as he roared and smashed the tables and chairs in the hall to pieces. On both sides of the hall stood 5 or 6 figures, who didn't even dare to breathe. After a while, the young prince Yin Jufeng gradually calmed down. Little prince, it's all that little bastard Lu Ming's doing. I don't know what kind of drug he used on that bitch Mo Ying. The moment Mo Ying saw him, she seemed to be fascinated. How hateful. A gloomy voice was heard. It was Mo Bing. At this time, his legs were still wrapped in a thick cast. Clearly, his legs that were broken by Lu Ming had not recovered. Humph, that little bitch Mo Ying, I thought she was a chaste woman, but she's just a slut. I wanted to fuck her first since she was dying. It's a pity that such a stunner died just like that. Now she's with that little bastard. I can't wait to kill her. The young prince Yin Jufeng said with a sinister expression. Little prince, that bitch Mo Ying won't be able to live for long. As for that Lu Ming, I didn't expect his cultivation to be so high. How should we deal with him? Mo Bing asked. It doesn't matter. I'll send a letter to my father later and ask him to send an expert over. At that time, I'll make him beg for death. Yin Jufeng gritted his teeth and said in an extremely sinister manner. Oh. In the next few days, Lu Ming continued to strip Mo Ying of her yang-type true qi. 3 days later, the yang-type true qi in Mo Ying's body had been completely expelled. Mo Ying was relieved, and her zhan qi became extremely active. Every day, her face glowed and she looked more beautiful. The Mo family's martial arts practice field was the place where the Mo family's disciples cultivated. Once the Mo Ying yang-type true qi was completely expelled, he brought Lu Ming to the Mo family's martial arts field. In the middle of the Mo family's martial arts practice field, there was a huge stone pillar. The stone pillar was crystal clear like jade, and one could tell at a glance that it was not an ordinary item. Brother Lu, this stone pillar can test my compatibility with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance. The higher the compatibility, the more I can obtain the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance. In the past, before my yang attribute true qi was dispelled, I was the one with the highest compatibility with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance among the younger generation of the Mo family. Now that my yang attribute true qi has been dispelled, I want to see how compatible I am with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance. Mo Ying obviously trusted Lu Ming and did not hold back at all. The inheritance of the Mahist's ancestor. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He could not help but look into the depths of the Mo family. That place was the place that caused the 9-dragon bloodline to jump for joy. He wondered if it had anything to do with the inheritance of the Mo family's ancestors. When Moing arrived in front of the stone pillar, she immediately attracted the attention of some of the nearby Mo family members. Is Moing going to test the compatibility of the ancestors' inheritance again? She's already the most powerful person in the younger generation. The inheritance of the ancestor belongs to her, so what's the point of testing? That's right. Her compatibility with the ancestors' inheritance is as high as 5 stars. Moreover, the compatibility is innate and will not increase after a period of time. I really don't understand why she came to test it again. In the surroundings, some of the Mo family's youngsters were discussing animatedly. Moing did not care about this. She put her palm on the stone pillar, and a bloody light flashed on her spine. Buzz! At this time, the stone pillar suddenly trembled and shone with bright light. In the end, 6 brilliant stars condensed. Chapter 326. 326 The Ancestors' Inheritance of the Mahist. All the members of the Mo family were stunned, their faces full of disbelief. Oh! After a long while, intense discussions broke out. 6 stars. Mo Ying's compatibility with the ancestors' inheritance has actually reached 6 stars. How is this possible? She used to be a 5-star. Unbelievable. The compatibility with the ancestors' inheritance can still be increased? I've never heard of such a thing, not even in the ancient books. It's unbelievable. I'm so envious. Some of the younger members of the Mo family were already incoherent. Squeak! A white-haired old man walked out of a building next to the martial arts practice field. He was ecstatic when he saw Moing condensing 6 stars on the stone pillar. He muttered, 6 stars, that's great. I've tried so many times and this is the most suitable one. This time I'm sure I'll succeed. We can look forward to great things. By then, the Mo family's status will definitely rise by a lot. In the martial arts practice field, Lu Ming saw the stone pillar glowing and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. Just now, when the stone pillar shone, he felt the 9-dragon bloodline in his body had a kind of restless feeling, which was very wonderful. At this moment, Moing retracted her palm, her face revealing a happy expression. My true qi has become purer. It's indeed more compatible with my ancestors' inheritance. Moing said happily. Lu Ming looked at the stone pillar and suddenly walked forward. Brother Lu, what are you doing? Moing was stunned. Then she saw Lu Ming stretch out his palm and press it against the stone pillar. Brother Lu, are you going to take the test? But this is our Mo family's testing stone pillar. What's the use of him testing? Moing thought. The other members of the Mo clan were even more dumbfounded. Who is this kid? What was he trying to do? This is the stone pillar that our Mo family uses to test the compatibility of our ancestors' inheritance. What is he doing there? Could it be that this kid also wants to test the compatibility of the ancestors' inheritance? What a joke, an outsider. Brat, quickly stop. On the side, the people of the Mo clan spoke out one after another, and some people even revealed mocking smiles. But in the next moment, buzz! The testing stone pillar started to shake violently, emitting a bright light. The dazzling light was even more intense than the one caused by the ink. Then the light condensed into stars in the sky. 1 Tugu. 8 stars. In the end, a total of 8 stars were formed. This. The eyes of all the members of the Mo clan almost popped out of their sockets. They were filled with disbelief. All of them trembled and pointed at Lu Ming, unable to say a word for a long time. Mo Ying's reaction was similar. Her small cherry lips were so wide open that they could swallow a duck egg. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. 8 stars, 8 stars, this kid's compatibility with our ancestors' inheritance has reached 8 stars. How is this possible? How is this possible? I'm dreaming, I must be dreaming. Pa! A crisp slap was heard. Why did you hit me? I was just checking to see if you were dreaming, so you weren't. Nest, an outsider actually has a compatibility score of 8 stars with our ancestors' inheritance. It's really blinding. The surrounding Mo family members were already in a state of confusion. This is God's will, God's will. God bless the Mo family, ha ha. The white-haired old man in the pavilion was so excited that he was trembling. His eyes were filled with ecstasy. "I must inform the master of this matter immediately," the white-haired old man muttered, then turned around and left. As expected. In the martial arts practice field, Lu Ming retracted his palm, deep in thought. Previously, he had discovered that the so-called test of compatibility with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance was actually related to the dragon bloodline. Lu Ming guessed that the Mo family's ancestor also had the bloodline of a cloud dragon or a flood dragon. That was why Moing had such a high compatibility. On the other hand, Lu Ming had the bloodline of the 9 dragons and could be said to be the ancestor of all dragons, so the compatibility was naturally high. He had reached 8 stars. It's a pity that Brother Lu is an outsider. Moing sighed in her heart. "Moing, let's go." Lu Ming smiled. Moing nodded and returned to the courtyard with Lu Ming. At the same time, an urgent discussion was going on in a secret room of the Mo family. 2 days later, a middle-aged man came to Mo Ying's courtyard. "Greetings, Patriarch." Moing and the others quickly saluted. This middle-aged man was the Mo family's head. "Little Ying, tomorrow, you will go and inherit the ancestors' inheritance." The head of the Mo family did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "Tomorrow? So soon?" Moing was stunned, obviously a little surprised. "A long night is fraught with dreams. The sooner you inherit the ancestors' legacy, the sooner you carry it forward, the sooner I can rest assured." The head of the Mo family smiled and was very kind. "Thank you, Master." Moing bowed excitedly. She was originally just a branch family member of the Mo family. It was already very difficult for her to reach this stage. Furthermore, she was going to inherit the ancestors' inheritance tomorrow. This was a supreme honor in the Mo family. At this moment, she was deeply grateful to the family head and the Mo family. "Haha. No need for such formalities." The head of the Mo family laughed heartily. He then looked at Lu Ming and said, "You must be young hero Lu Ming, right?" "That's me. Greetings, Mo family head." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, "Haha, you don't have to be so polite, young hero Lu. 2 days ago, you resonated with the testing stone pillar. This news has long spread throughout the Mo family. It's a miracle indeed." The head of the Mo family sighed and changed his tone. "Here, I still need young hero Lu's help with one more thing." "You need my help? May I know what's the matter?" Lu Ming was a little curious. "I want to invite young hero Lu and Moing to go to the land of the ancestors' inheritance and help Moing get the inheritance." The head of the Mo family said. "Me?" This time not only Lu Ming, but even Moing was a little surprised. "That's right. To be honest, it's not easy to inherit the ancestors' inheritance. There might be some obstacles along the way. Young hero Lu's compatibility with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance is as high as 8 stars. With you following and helping Moing, nothing will go wrong. I hope young hero Lu can agree." The head of the Mo family cupped his fists and said, "Mo family head is too polite. Since I can help Moing, I will not refuse." Lu Ming said. That was good. Lu Ming wanted to see what it was that made the 9 dragons' bloodline so excited. Seeing that Lu Ming had agreed, the head of the Mo family was elated. He chatted with the 2 of them for a while before leaving. "Brother Lu, I'll have to trouble you again." Moing slightly bowed, her eyes as clear as water. A day's time quickly passed. The next day, the Mo family head sent someone to pick Moing and Lu Ming up. Following the person who led the way, the 2 of them walked into the depths of the Mo clan estate. Chapter 327. 327. The person at the bottom of the blood pool. As expected, it's in the depths of the Mo family. Oh, Lu Ming's expression changed. The Mo family mansion was built in layers and layers, with countless palaces. The 2 of them walked around for half an hour before they arrived at a dilapidated stone house. In front of the stone house, the head of the Mo family and a few white-haired old men had already arrived. "Haha, Moing, Lu Xiaoxia, you're here. The place where our ancestors left their inheritance is under this stone house. You can go in when we open the door." The head of the Mo family smiled. Lu Ming and Moing nodded. "Let's start." The head of the Mo family nodded to the elders. The old men moved and spread out around the stone house. They shot out beams of light into the stone house. The stone house began to tremble slightly, emitting rays of light. The stone house was covered in inscriptions. The inscriptions were bright, and with a few shouts from the elders, a stone door in front of the stone house suddenly opened. The moment the door of the stone house opened, Lu Ming seemed to see a blood-colored ocean surging toward him. The nine-dragon bloodline seemed to be so excited that it was about to roar at the sky. "This place is not simple." Lu Ming frowned slightly. Moing didn't seem to feel anything unusual, and she looked at the stone house with anticipation. "All right, Moing, young Master Lu, the stone door is open. You can go in," the head of the Mo family said. "Many thanks to the patriarch and the elders." Moing sincerely thanked the Mo family head and the elders, then stood up and walked towards the stone house. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he followed Moing in. After the two of them walked in, the stone door of the stone house automatically closed. "Ha ha ha, great things have come to pass. This time my Mo family will have made a great contribution." After the stone door closed, the head of the Mo family laughed excitedly. However, his smile did not have the slightest bit of kindness. Instead, it seemed a little ferocious. In the stone house. After the stone door was closed, the stone house was not dark. The walls of the stone house were inlaid with luminous stones. There was a big hole on the floor of the stone house, and a stone ladder slanted down the big hole. The head of the Mo family had told them that the inheritance of the Mo family's ancestors was deep underground. The two of them did not hesitate and walked down the stairs. The stairs were very long and they kept going down. After walking for about 1,000 meters, they saw a stone door. The stone door was flowing with inscriptions, and it was bright and colorful. In the middle of the stone door there was a pit. Moing took out a jade tablet and shone it into the pit. "Gotcha!" Immediately, the stone door made a creaking sound and opened automatically. Behind the stone door, there was another stone ladder that went down. The stone ladder was getting more and more steep, almost vertical. After walking for a while, they saw another stone door. Moing did the same thing and opened it with the jade card. This time there was a passage behind the stone door. On both sides of the passage there were stone rooms. Lu Ming furrowed his brows slightly. He could sense a chilly aura from the stone rooms. How can this place be so eerie? Obviously, Moing had also felt it and said with a slight frown, "Perhaps it's because no one has been here for too many years." Lu Ming said. Moing nodded and didn't say anything. The two of them continued walking. After walking for a while, the stone chamber disappeared, and the passage continued forward. After walking for about 1,000 meters, they reached the end of the tunnel. In front of them there was a huge underground cave. In the cave the colding chi was even thicker. In the middle of the cave there was a huge pool. The two of them were stunned when they saw the pool. This pool was not filled with water at all, but bright red blood. That's right, the entire pool was filled with blood. And the smell of blood filled the entire underground cave. What was this? Could this be the ancestors' inheritance? Moing said in shock and disbelief. Walala! At this moment, the blood in the pool churned violently. Then the blood gushed into the air and actually condensed into two blood-colored dragons, which pounced at Lu Ming and Moing. Roar! The two blood-colored flood dragons roared, and the smell of blood assailed their nostrils. The flood dragons' claws were as sharp as knives as they clawed at the two people. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed. The demon-subduing spear appeared and he thrust it forward. Chi-chi! Two spearlights burst out and shattered the two blood dragons. Roar! Roar! However, the water in the pond churned and the blood water in the pond condensed into 8 blood-colored dragons. 8 blood-colored flood dragons pounced toward the two of them. How did this happen? At this moment Moing finally reacted. She waved her hands to resist the blood-red dragon. Lu Ming's long spear trembled and he thrust it forward. crushing the blood-colored flood dragons one by one. However, these blood-colored flood dragons were not destroyed. They gathered together in the air and formed another blood-colored flood dragon. At the same time, more blood-colored flood dragons continued to form in the pool and pounced at Lu Ming and Mo Ying. There was no way to kill them all. In a short while, Mo Ying was scratched by a blood-red dragon's claw, leaving a deep wound. Boom! The aura on Lu Ming's body exploded violently. He swept his long spear out and dozens of blood-colored flood dragons exploded in the air. However, it was useless. After a while it would reform. Since I can't kill it, I'll just destroy this blood pool. Lu Ming strode forward, intending to blow up the pool full of blood. Clang! Clang! At this moment, the sound of metal clashing could be heard from the blood pool. It sounded like iron chains were colliding with each other. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of the collision became louder, and the blood in the pool of blood surged more violently, making a loud noise like a stormy sea. Roar! Roar! The blood-colored flood dragons roared repeatedly. They stopped attacking Lu Ming and Mo Ying and flew back into the blood pool. Boom! Under the pool of blood, a violent explosion suddenly sounded. The entire underground cave shook violently, as if there was a prehistoric giant beast in the pool that was about to break free. I'm not willing. Suddenly, a loud roar came from the bottom of the blood pool. Lu Ming and Mo Ying's expressions changed drastically. There was actually someone at the bottom of the blood pool. I can't accept this. The Dark Moon royal family is despicable and shameless. The entire Mo family is despicable and shameless. You've set me up. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. A loud roar came from the blood pool. The voice was filled with pain and unwillingness, as well as hatred. Clang, clang. The sound of the chains clanging became even more intense. The next moment, the blood pool suddenly churned violently. As the blood churned, it actually formed the shape of a human. This humanoid figure was dozens of meters tall and extremely huge. It looked like a burly old man. He roared at the sky and tried to break free, but the endless blood around him wrapped him up. Roar! With an earth-shaking roar, the endless blood water condensed into a 100-meter-long giant flood dragon, which wrapped around the old man's body. Chapter 328. 328 It's all a conspiracy. I'm not willing. The old man roared and struggled with all his might. Blood filled the air and the underground cave kept shaking. Oh! Lu Ming and Mo Ying looked at this scene in shock. The strange movement of the 9 dragons' bloodline came from this blood pool. From the looks of it, there should be flood dragon blood and even flood dragon soul inside. Lu Ming's mind was racing. But what's with that old man? Lu Ming could not figure it out, but he was certain that this was not the ancestor's legacy that the Mo family had mentioned. Looking at Mo Ying's expression, it was obvious that she didn't know that he and Mo Ying had been deceived. The huge old man's struggle became more and more intense, as if he could break free at any time. Buzz! Buzz! At this time, 2 old men with almost bald heads and wrinkled faces suddenly appeared on both sides of the cave. As soon as the 2 old men appeared, bright lights flew out of their hands. The lights flew into the walls of the cave, and inscriptions appeared on the walls. Countless inscriptions interwove together to form an inscription formation. It condensed into a band of light that flew into the blood pool. Immediately, inscriptions appeared on the surface of the blood water and the huge blood dragon. This caused the power of the blood water dragon to increase greatly, and it suppressed the figure of the huge old man. Arg! Despicable Mo family, I'm not willing to accept this. The huge old man's figure let out an unwilling roar. Suppress! The 2 elders from the Mo family shouted. Their bodies glowed as they controlled the inscription formation to suppress the giant elder's figure. Boom! 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 No matter how hard the huge old man struggled, it was still useless, and his movements became smaller and smaller. Start the condensation! One of the elders from the Mo family shouted, and the other nodded. The 2 of them moved their palms and dozens of blood water dragons flew out of the blood pool. They roared and pounced at Lu Ming and Mo Ying. What was different from before was that these blood water dragons had inscriptions flowing on their bodies, and they were obviously more powerful. Two elders, what are you doing? I'm a disciple of the Mo family. Moing was shocked. However, the Bloodwater dragon did not stop attacking, so Moing could only resist. Bang! But with just one move, Moing was sent flying. Then, a Bloodwater dragon wrapped around Moing, trying to drag her into the blood pool. Elder, what are you doing? My Mo family's disciple Moing is here to accept our ancestors' inheritance. Let me go. Moing shouted in fear. Kill. Die. Lu Ming shouted and swept his long spear repeatedly. The bloody water dragons exploded one after another. Then, he grabbed the bloody water dragons on Mo Ying's body and squeezed them with force, crushing them. On both sides of the cave, the two Mo family elders' expressions changed. They looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Blood refining formation, kill. The two elders from the Mo family bellowed. The light from the inscription formation in the cave became even more dazzling. In an instant, hundreds of bloody water dragons flew out and pounced at Lu Ming. Of course, these bloodwater dragons were only a few meters long, and could not compare to the huge water dragon that was entangled with the huge old man. Ha ha ha, Mahis girl, don't expect to get out of here alive. What ancestors' inheritance? I just want to use you to refine the Inuit demonic chief. At this moment, the laughter of the old man came from the blood pool. Boom! 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 These words were like thunder, exploding in Mo Ying's heart. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she screamed, You want me to refine the Een Moon Devil Chief? No, this can't be true. I don't believe it. You don't believe me? The truth is right in front of you. Little girl, just accept your fate. You've been deceived by a group of hypocrites. The old man in the blood pool said. No, this is impossible. Two elders, is this true? Moing looked at the two elders of the Mo family. As a disciple of the Mo family, it's your honor to make a sacrifice for the Mo family. Surrender now. The two elders of the Mo family spoke. Their faces were extremely cold and emotionless. Moing felt as if she was struck by lightning. Her body staggered backward, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. The Mahist is despicable. They want to use the blood and soul of a dragon, and the two of you as a catalyst to refine me into a puppet without a soul that only listens to orders and only knows how to kill. No way, I won't yield. The old man roared in the blood pool. It's useless even if we don't yield. This time, not only is there a little girl with the cloud dragon bloodline, but there's also a kid who is more compatible with the flood dragon. With the two of them, we're 100% sure that we can refine the Een Moon demonic chief. The heavens are blessing our Mo family. Yin Quan, this is your fate. Quickly yield. An elder of the Mo family shouted. I'll fuck your head. The old man roared. Mo Ying's body trembled and her eyes were listless. It was as if her soul had been drawn out of her body. It was fake. It turned out that everything in the past was fake. What genius of the Mo family? What do you mean by focus training? What ancestors' legacy? They were all fake. The purpose of all this was to refine the Inuit Devil Chief. The reason was probably the Cloud Dragon bloodline in her body. It was no wonder that the Mo family head invited Lu Ming in and said that he would help her. It was all nonsense. It was nothing more than Lu Ming's blood meridian. Everything made sense. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming kept waving his long spear, blocking the bloodwater dragons. Moing, pull yourself together. We don't need such a family. At most, we'll rebel. Lu Ming shouted. Mo Ying's body trembled, and she finally recovered a little. She gritted her teeth and said loudly, I decide my own fate. I will not listen to arrangements. Rebellious and stubborn, become a part of the family's glory. Kill. The two elders of the Mo family roared and controlled the inscription formation. More bloodwater dragons flew out and attacked the two. A bunch of hypocrites, kill. Lu Ming shouted. Boom. The aura on his body erupted like a volcano, and a huge stone tablet with 4 Esilavir chakras appeared, shining brightly. Lu Ming erupted with all his strength. Boom. The power of wind and fire gathered, and with a sweep of the long spear, a large number of bloodwater dragons exploded. A 4th-level king bloodline. Who is this kid? An elder of the Mo family shouted in shock. As far as he knew, there were no geniuses with 4th-level king-level bloodline in the entire Dark Moon Empire. Where did Lu Ming come from? Could he be a peerless genius from some mid-tier empire? Who cares who he is? There's no way out today. Let's kill this brat first. Another elder of the Mo family shouted. Good attack. The 2 elders of the Mo family formed hand seals. Roar. The huge blood-water dragon that was initially wrapped around the elder let go of the elder and pounced at Lu Ming with a furious roar. The aura was so powerful that it shook the heavens and earth. He gave off the feeling that he was much stronger than an ordinary 9th-level martial arts grandmaster. It couldn't be blocked. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. He was about to retreat when he suddenly stopped. Buzz! A blood-red light flashed behind his back, and the 9-dragon bloodline appeared. Chapter 329. 329 Devouring the Flood Dragon Soul. The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared into the sky. Oh! Although the 9-dragon bloodline seemed to be only a dozen meters long, it was very small in front of the 100-meter-long bloodwater dragon. However, the bloodwater dragon suddenly stopped in the air and looked at the bloodline with fear in its eyes. The huge flood dragon's body trembled violently. It roared and turned to run. However, it was too late. The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared and a powerful devouring power burst out of its mouth. At the same time, the bloodline dragon twisted its body and, like a bolt of lightning, appeared on the head of the bloodwater dragon in an instant. A powerful devouring power enveloped it. The bloody water dragon was extremely frightened. It kept roaring and its huge body kept twisting. However, the bloodline of the 9 dragons stopped firmly on the head of the bloodwater dragon, and continued to burst out with devouring power. Roar! The bloody water dragon roared. A dragon's soul was extracted from the body of the bloodwater dragon. The first thing that appeared was the head of the flood dragon's soul. It kept roaring and tried to shrink back, but it was useless under the devouring of the 9-dragon bloodline. It was being pulled out bit by bit. What's going on? What's going on? An elder of the Mo family shouted in disbelief. Kill, kill! The 2 elders of the Mo family gritted their teeth and tried their best to activate the inscription formation in an attempt to get rid of the 9 dragons' bloodline and kill Lu Ming. Unfortunately, when the giant bloodwater dragon touched the bloodline of the 9 dragons, it was like a mouse meeting a cat. It did not dare to resist at all. The dragon's soul in the bloodwater dragon was continuously extracted. Soon more than half of it was extracted. Kid, what are you doing? Still not stopping? Hurry up and stop. You're trying to ruin the Mo family's 1,000-year plan, do you know that? Quickly stop. The 2 elders of the Mo family cried out hysterically. Haha, you 2 old dogs, you've lived so long, have you wasted all your time on dogs? Stop. And then use my own life to complete the Mo family's 1,000-year plan? Have your fucking brains been eaten by dogs? Also, what's your Mo family's 1,000-year plan? What does it have to do with me? In my eyes, they're all dog shit. Lu Ming let out a long howl. The words of the 2 Mo family elders were too laughable. Fuck you, you're looking for death. The 2 Mo clan elders' shriveled old faces flushed red, and they were so angry that they almost bled. They were the Mo family's grand elders and were usually high and mighty. When had anyone dared to scold them like this? I'll kill this brat first. An elder of the Mo family shouted. He slowed down his control of the inscription formation and was about to pounce on Lu Ming. However, the moment he stopped controlling the inscription formation, the elder in the pool of blood went berserk, and the entire underground cave started to shake. Detestable. The elder of the Mo family was unwilling, but he could only fly back and continue to control the inscription formation. Roar! At this time, the 9-dragon bloodline let out a deafening roar. Its devouring power suddenly increased, and the dragon's soul in the bloodwater dragon was pulled out. The flood dragon's soul roared in fear and struggled with all its might. Don't! Stop! The 2 elders of the Mo family shouted. However, the bloodline of the 9 dragons opened its mouth and sucked the flood dragon's soul into its mouth, disappearing without a trace. The nine-dragon bloodline revealed a satisfied expression and flew back into Lu Ming's body. The two elders of the Mo family started to scream like mad ghosts. Let him go? You guys are thinking too much. Lu Ming sneered. Boom! At this moment, the underground cave began to shake violently. In the pool of blood, the blood water surged and churned. Clang clang. The sound of iron chains colliding rang out. Not good. Quickly suppress old monster Yin Quan. The two elders of the Mo family screamed in fear as they tried their best to control the inscription formation to suppress the old man in the blood pool. But dash. Bang. The next moment there was an explosion and a figure shot up from the blood pool. Oh. It was an old man in his 60s. He had a long beard and a burly figure that was more than 2 meters tall. The figure that was tens of meters tall earlier was not his real body. It was a humanoid figure formed by true energy. Several arm-thick chains were wrapped around the elder's body and extended out of the blood pool. As the burly old man moved, the iron chains clanged. Not good. Yin Quan is about to escape. The two elders of the Mo family shouted in fear. Ha ha ha, even the heavens are helping me. Mo family, if I, Yin Quan, don't destroy your Mo family today, I'm not a human. The burly old man laughed madly. Kill him quickly. The two elders of the Mo family roared and gave up on controlling the inscription formation. A combat sword appeared in their hands and they slashed at Yin Quan. The sword chi whistled through the air in an extremely shocking manner. Martial Ancestor 8 Dan Peak. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The cultivation of the two Mo family elders was terrifyingly high. They were both at the peak of the 8th level of the Martial Ancestor realm. A mere Martial Ancestor 8 Dan wants to kill me? You're overestimating yourself. Yin Quan laughed and waved his hands. Two terrifying palm forces were sent out toward the two elders of the Mo family. Bang! Bang! With two loud bangs, the two elders of the Mo family let out a blood-curdling screech as their bodies were sent flying like cannonballs. They crashed heavily into the wall of the cave and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Clang clang. Yin Quan waved his palm, causing the iron chains to collide. There were a total of 4 iron chains that locked him. He was too strong. Even when he was chained up, he was still able to injure two elders of the Mo clan who were at the peak of the 8th level of the Martial Ancestor realm. His strength was so strong that it was shocking. You want to lock me up with a few pieces of scrap metal? Break! Break! Yin Quan shouted. A terrifying true chi burst out of his body and he pulled with great force. Boom! 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 The entire cave began to shake violently, and the ground continued to shake, giving off a deep rumble. Not good. Yin Quan is about to break free, quickly go. The two elders of the Mo family were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They turned around and ran towards the exit. Break! Yin Quan suddenly shouted as he grabbed a chain and pulled it. Buzz! The iron chain that was as thick as an arm was broken into 2. This was not an ordinary iron chain, but a rare black iron with inscriptions engraved on it. However, it was still broken. You want to leave? Die! Yin Quan let out a shout and waved his arm. A broken chain flew out toward the two Mo family elders. It was so fast that it caught up to the two elders in an instant. Block it! The two elders of the Mo family roared and each used their strongest move. But the difference was too great. Bang! Bang! With 2 loud bangs, all the attacks of the two Mo clan elders were dispersed, and a section of the iron chain hit them. Kachachi! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The two Mo family elders cried out in pain and flew out. They fell heavily on the ground and were no longer breathing. At this moment, the entire Mo family was in chaos. When Yin Quan pulled out the iron chain, the entire Mo family's land shook violently as if there was an earthquake. What happened? Many disciples of the Mahis were panicking. The head of the Mo family and a few elders had been standing guard in front of the stone house. Other than them, there were a few more people. One of them was the young prince, Yin Jufeng. Beside him, there were a few elders with powerful auras. At this moment, the Mo family head's expression changed drastically. Not good. There's a problem underground. The head of the Mo family cried out. Chapter 330. 330 Chapter 330 Escape Battle. Quick! Gather the experts of the family and prepare for a change. Oh! The head of the Mo family roared, and his voice spread throughout the entire Mo family. Buzz! Whoa! Many figures flew over from every corner of the Mo family. These were all martial arts Grandmaster realm experts. As one of the top 10 families in the Inu Empire, the Mo family's strength was not to be underestimated. In addition to these martial Grandmaster powerhouses, there were also some martial Grandmaster realm martial artists gathered. In an instant, the stone house was filled with people. In the underground cave. Break! Die! Yin Quan roared. His true energy burst forth like an ancient beast struggling. Clang! 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 With 3 consecutive crisp sounds, the remaining 3 chains were all broken by the hot spring. Ha ha ha, I've been trapped for more than 10 years and I've finally escaped. Mo family, accept my revenge. Yin Quan laughed crazily, his face revealing an extremely ferocious expression. After a while, he turned to look at Lu Ming and Mo Ying. Whoosh! He moved his body and appeared a few meters in front of Lu Ming and Mo Ying in an instant. Ah! Mo Ying was so scared that she gasped and took 3 steps back. Lu Ming's figure did not move, but his pupils shrank. He held the long spear horizontally in front of him, ready for a great battle. Haha, little girl, what are you afraid of? You guys saved me, why would I make things difficult for you? Yin Quan grinned at Mo Ying, then looked at Lu Ming with surprise in his eyes. Little brother, this time, it's all thanks to you that this old man was able to escape. This is a great favor, and I can't not repay it. However, now is not the time to talk about this. After this old man has destroyed the Mo family, we will talk about this again. Yin Quan laughed and strode toward the exit. Let's go out too. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He then followed the old man out with Mo Ying. When he passed by the corpses of the 2 Mo family elders, Lu Ming had silently devoured their blood essence. The 3 of them continued forward. Soon, he walked out of the underground and returned to the stone house. Boom! Yin Quan's palm struck out, and the stone door of the stone house exploded. Broken stones flew everywhere, and a burst of exclamations came from outside. It seems that they are all waiting outside. Good, I don't need to go and find them. Yin Quan grinned, his eyes filled with killing intent as he strode out. Lu Ming and Mo Ying followed. Lu Ming's expression changed the moment he walked out of the stone house. There were hundreds of people outside. All of them had powerful auras and were all experts. Even the weakest among them was at the martial Grandmaster realm. Flame Spring. Seeing the 3 of them come out, the Mo family head and several elders, expressions changed drastically, and they cried out. Set up the formation, quickly set up the formation. One of the elders shrieked. Buzz! Buzz! Their figures flashed wildly. At least a few dozen martial grandmasters moved and formed a battle formation. At the forefront of the battle formation were the Mo family head and a few elders. Mo Ying, how dare you release the demon that the family has been suppressing? You are unforgivable. The head of the Mo family shouted. Mo Ying's body trembled when she heard this. They had lied to Mo Ying and wanted to use her as a guide to refine her into the Een Moon demonic chief. But now, as soon as she came out, the head of the Mo family pinned the crime of releasing the demon suppressed by the Mo family on Mo Ying's head. He was really shameless. Family head, you lied to me. There's no inheritance of our ancestor down there. You want to kill me? Mo Ying said in a trembling voice. Shut up, little bitch. You're wrong. If you still dare to talk back, kneel down and accept your death. The head of the Mo family shouted, not allowing Mo Ying to talk back. He was no longer as kind as before. Mo Ying's face was pale, and her delicate body trembled non-stop. She bit her lip so hard that it bled, and she didn't even know it was bleeding. Initially, she still had a glimmer of hope for the Mo family, but now she had lost all hope. Oh. Haha, old man, you lied to your own disciples, saying that you want to pass on the ancestors' legacy, but it's actually just for the order of the younger disciples to refine some bullshit Inuit demonic chief. Now you're still making it sound so grand. Are you a fucking dog? Don't you have any shame? Lu Ming laughed loudly, pointing at the Mo family head and berating him. Little bastard, what did you say? How dare you talk to me like that? The head of the Mo family roared, his eyes filled with killing intent. Who the hell are you? Do I have to give you face when I speak? Don't flatter yourself. Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked at the head of the Mo family in disdain, as if he was looking at a pile of dog shit. This kind of gaze almost made the head of the Mo family spit out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that his entire body trembled. Ha ha ha, little brother, that was a good scolding. The entire Mo family is a pile of dog shit. Ha ha. Yin Quan laughed. Damn it. Lu Ming, you've ruined the refinement of the Dark Moon demonic chief, and the great plan of the Dark Moon imperial family. Even if you die 10,000 times, you won't be able to make up for it. At this moment, a sharp cry filled with resentment rang out. It was Yin Jufeng. Oh, isn't this the young prince? Why don't you go home and drink your milk? Do you want to get beaten up again? Lu Ming pursed his lips. One sentence almost caused Yin Jufeng to suffer internal injuries. Lu Ming, if I don't kill you today, I'm not a human. Yin Jufeng shouted in a furious voice. If I remember correctly, you called me that last time. Why, are you still human? Lu Ming revealed a mocking smile. Arg. Fuck you. Kill him. Kill him. Yin Jufeng's face turned ashen, and he almost exploded in anger. Kill. The two elders behind Yin Jufeng shouted and were about to pounce on Lu Ming. Who can he kill? Yin Quan coldly shouted as he threw a punch. Bang! Bang! The two old men exploded, scaring Yin Jufeng so much that he screamed repeatedly. Under the protection of the remaining two old men, he retreated frantically. Let's attack together and suppress old demon Yin Quan. The head of the Mo family roared. Suppress old demon Yin Quan. Everyone from the Mo family shouted. More than 30 martial grandmaster powerhouses set up a large array and charged toward Yin Quan. Good. I'll settle the score with the Mo family today. Yin Quan shouted as he charged towards the Mo clan. Kill. Yin Quan shouted with a shocking aura, like a demonic god. He threw out a punch and a brilliant fist force shot out toward the Mo family. Lu Ming could sense that the aura from the flame spring was not any weaker than the sect leaders of the 5 major sects of the Blazing Sun Empire. This was the limit of Zhongshe realm, known as Half-Step King realm. 100 swords formation, suppress and kill. The people from the Mo family did not dare to be careless. More than 30 people joined forces, and their auras merged together to form a giant sword that was hundreds of meters tall, slashing down at Yin Quan. Boom! The huge sword and the fist radiance collided, producing a shocking boom. The entire Mo family shook violently, and some of the nearby buildings were blown to pieces by the shock wave. This attack was evenly matched. Kill! Immediately, Yin Quan and the Mo family members began to fight again. Kill! Kill this little bastard now! Yin Jufeng shouted. Buzz! Buzz! Behind Yin Jufeng, the remaining two elders charged towards Lu Ming, exuding a powerful aura. Martial Ancestor 8th stage. The two elders were both in the 8th level of the Martial Ancestor realm. Chapter 331. 331 Bloodline Evolution again. Now let's see who can save you. Oh! Yin Jufeng revealed a malevolent expression. However, a smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. He stood there without moving. Roar! At this moment a loud roar came from the sky. A tall and burly figure descended from the sky and landed heavily between Lu Ming and the two elders, leaving a huge pit in the ground. Golden-eyed Blood Corpse. This tall figure was actually the Golden-eyed Blood Corpse. We've finally arrived. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Just now, when he came out of the stone house, he noticed the demon suppressing token's abnormality. He noticed that the Golden-eyed Blood Corpse was near Su Tiancheng and was probably looking for him. He wasn't surprised that the Golden-eyed Blood Corpse was able to escape from the Inu Empire's assassins. The golden-eyed blood corpse had already reached the early stage of martial ancestor realm level 9, and its body was like Vajra. If it wanted to escape, even a half-step king warrior might not be able to kill it. When Lu Ming discovered that the golden-eyed blood corpse was nearby, he immediately used the demon suppressing token to summon the golden-eyed blood corpse. He also deliberately talked to Yin Jufeng and the others to stall for time. Finally, the golden-eyed blood corpse arrived. "Goldeneye, kill them," Lu Ming ordered. "Roar!" The golden-eyed blood corpse roared and pounced forward. Bang! Bang! In just one exchange, the two 8th-grade martial ancestor realm elders that Yin Jufeng had brought with him screamed and flew back. On each of their bodies there was an additional claw wound. Where the claws had scratched, the flesh and blood had disappeared, revealing the white bones. It was extremely horrifying. This scene was too sudden, and Yin Jufeng was immediately stunned. Mo Ying, who was beside Lu Ming, was also stunned. She realized that she could not see through Lu Ming at all. Since the first time she saw Lu Ming and heard him call out she is divided into yin and yang, Lu Ming had brought her a series of surprises. In her opinion, Lu Ming was a mystery, an unfathomable mystery. Now, there was actually a 9th-level martial arts grandmaster taking orders from him. "Monster run! Take the young prince away!" An old man roared. He wanted to rush over and take Yin Jufeng away, but it was already too late. The golden-eyed blood corpse roared and rushed out. It waved its claws and the claw rays were like heavenly blades. Poochie! In just a few moves, the two old men were torn into two by the golden-eyed blood zombies and died an unnatural death. Ah! Yin Jufeng screamed in fear, his face as white as paper and his body trembling. The 4 experts his father had sent to help him had been killed just like that, leaving him all alone. "Now it's your turn." Lu Ming looked at Yin Jufeng with a smile. However, in Yin Jufeng's eyes, Lu Ming's smile was more terrifying than a demon's. "Mo family head, Mo family head. Quickly save me, quickly save me." Yin Jufeng shouted with all his might. However, the head of the Mo family did not even look at him. What a joke to save him. Right now, everyone from the Mo family was locked in a battle with the flame spring. They could not even take care of themselves, so how could they have the time to save him? "It seems that no one will come to save you." Lu Ming smiled again and walked towards Yin Jufeng step by step. "No, Lu Ming, don't kill me. My father is the Duke of the South, and he has a large number of soldiers. If you kill me, you'll die too. And the referee." Yin Jufeng shouted. "What else is there? Last time, I let you off for the sake of the Mo family. Are you going to use the Mo family to threaten me this time? Besides, you've tried to kill me many times. How can I let you go?" Lu Ming's expression finally turned cold. "Oh, don't!" Yin Jufeng roared, turned around and ran. However, Lu Ming flicked his fingers and a spear ray shot out, piercing through Yin Jufeng's back. Yin Jufeng screamed and fell to the ground. He screamed repeatedly, but he didn't die. Lu Ming walked over and squatted down to look at Yin Jufeng. "Save me, save me." Yin Jufeng struggled with all his might, blood flowing out of his mouth. "Save you? I'll tell you another secret, and you won't ask me to save you anymore. I have another name and that is Tian Yun." Lu Ming smiled faintly and whispered in Yin Jufeng's ear. "What?" Yin Jufeng's eyes suddenly widened, revealing a look of despair. He growled, "Champion." Before he could even say the word Ho, he had already died. The Blazing Sun Empire's champion, Ho Tianyun, was known by all in the Yin Empire. He killed several powerful legions of the Dark Moon Empire and shocked the Dark Moon Empire. Upon hearing that it was Tianyun, Yin Jufeng lost all hope and took his last breath. The Mo family's Grandmaster realm martial artists looked at Lu Ming in horror, and did not dare to attack him. Boom! Boom! Between heaven and earth, only the sound of Yen Quan and the Mo family's battle reverberated. The battle between Yen Quan and the Mo family was still ongoing. It had to be said that the 100-sword battle formation set up by the Mo family was indeed very powerful. Even with more than 30 martial ancestor realm experts and the Mo family head's 9th-level martial ancestor realm cultivation, they were still able to fight to a draw with Yen Quan, who was at the half-step king realm. Roar! At this moment, the golden-eyed blood corpse growled beside Lu Ming, its gaze constantly looking in the direction of the stone house. You're going to absorb the blood. Lu Ming understood what the golden-eyed blood corpse meant. The golden-eyed blood corpse was very thirsty for the flood dragon blood in the underground cave. Go! Lu Ming muttered. Buzz! After receiving Lu Ming's order, the golden-eyed blood zombie rushed toward the underground cave. On the other hand, Lu Ming stood still, refining the blood essence while watching the battle. Lu Ming's body had devoured the blood essence of a few 8th realm martial arts grandmasters. It was too thick. The blood essence was constantly converted into energy and refined into true qi. Lu Ming started to aim for the 4th level of the martial arts grandmaster realm. Boom! 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 Not long after, Lu Ming's body let out a dull sound. He had broken through to the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. Just as Lu Ming broke through to the 4th tier martial ancestor realm, the 9-dragon bloodline suddenly let out a long howl. It rushed out of Lu Ming's body and howled towards the sky. At the same time, the body of the 9-dragon bloodlines changed rapidly. It was originally a python that was more than 10 meters long, but it was now rapidly growing longer and thicker. The scales on its body became more crystal clear. Then, 4 claws grew out of the python's belly, like dragon claws. On the top of its head there were 2 horns. A flood dragon. This was the image of a flood dragon. The bloodline of the 9 dragons had evil levered. After devouring an astonishing amount of blood essence and a flood dragon's soul, the bloodline of the 9 dragons finally began to evil levere. From the python form, it had evil levered into the flood dragon form. Ow! The flood dragon of the bloodline of the 9 dragons roared into the sky, and a bright Asileverer chakra appeared on its body. King-level bloodline. The great martial masters of the Mo family and Moing were all dumbfounded. Even the Mo family's martial arts grandmasters in the battle, and Yen Quan looked at Lu Ming in shock. Bloodlines could actually evil levere? From ordinary to king level. This was too shocking, simply unheard of. He had never seen such a record in the ancient records. This young man is too extraordinary. Yen Quan's eyes were bright, and no one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 332. 332 The Terrifying Devouring Power. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. The evolution of the 9 dragons' bloodline was too sudden, and he could not control it at all. If possible, he would never choose to let his bloodline evil levere at this time. Retreat quickly and spread this news to the Duke of the South and the imperial family. This man is a monster. He must be killed. The head of the Mo family shouted at the martial grandmasters. A bloodline that could evil levere was simply unheard of. It was too shocking. Since they were already enemies, they couldn't let such a person live. This was what the head of the Mo family thought. Let's go. There were more than 100 martial grandmasters, and they all rushed in all directions. If that's the case, then all of you can stay. Lu Ming muttered, his eyes exuding a terrifying murderous intent. The bloodline of the 9 dragons must not be exposed. Although this place was far away from the headquarters of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, it would be a disaster if the characteristics of the 9 dragon bloodline were to be passed to Martial Emperor De. These people must die. Lu Ming soared into the sky, and the 9 dragon bloodline appeared behind him. A worm dragon that was 100 meters long was floating above Lu Ming's head. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared into the sky, and a powerful devouring power burst out of its mouth. The devouring power was dozens of times stronger than before it evil levered. The mouth of the 9 dragon bloodline was like a black hole, and a terrifying devouring power spread out, shrouding more than 100 martial grandmasters. The 100 or so great martial masters seemed to have been frozen in place, and then they showed extremely frightened expressions. The power of my bloodline is being lost. Not good, I feel like my blood essence is about to be drawn out. More than 100 people let out terrified screams. Devour! A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he shouted. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons suddenly cried out, and the devouring power in its mouth became even stronger. Then a terrifying scene happened. All kinds of bloodlines floated above the heads of more than 100 great martial master realm warriors. These bloodlines wailed and actually left their masters, flying towards the 9 dragon bloodlines and being swallowed by them. My bloodline power has been devoured. He screamed, but then the scream stopped abruptly. That was because 9 drops of blood essence flew out of each person's body and were swallowed by the bloodline of the 9 dragons. More than 100 people fell to the ground stiffly, without a trace of life. The scene was silent. Even the battle between the Mo clan's martial arts grandmasters and Yan Quan had stopped for a short while. Everyone looked at Lu Ming with their mouths agape. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. The roar of the bloodline had actually devoured the bloodline power and blood essence of more than 100 people. What kind of ability was this? He was simply a demon. Demon, you're a demon. Someone from the Mo family shouted. What demon? In my opinion, your Mo family is the real demon. All of you should die, kill. Yan Quan roared and charged towards the Mo family again. The two sides engaged in a fierce battle again. Moing looked at Lu Ming with fear in her eyes. I didn't expect the devouring power to be so terrifying after the 9 dragon bloodline evil levered to king class. It can directly devour a living person. Even Lu Ming himself was a little shocked. In the past, it could only devour the blood essence of the dead. Now that his 9 dragon bloodline had evil levered to the king tier, he could even devour living people. Those were only great martial master realm warriors. I wonder if they have any effect on warriors above the martial ancestor realm? At the thought of this, Lu Ming cast his gaze at the Mo family's martial arts grandmasters. I'll try. Immediately, Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragon bloodline. The terrifying devouring power enveloped the Mo family's martial arts grandmasters. Immediately, some of the martial grandmaster powerhouses with low cultivation levels trembled, and the power of their bloodlines became somewhat unstable. What the hell is this power? The martial arts grandmasters roared and their essential chi exploded wildly to resist Lu Ming's devouring power. It's more effective for martial artists below the 4th level of martial arts grandmaster. It can affect the stability of their blood vessels. It's also effective for martial artists above the 4th level of martial arts grandmaster, but relatively speaking, it's less effective. Lu Ming came to a conclusion in an instant. For martial artists with lower cultivation than him, it was still very effective. It could affect the circulation of blood vessels, but it could not directly devour blood essence and the power of blood vessels like a great martial master. It would be blocked. Those with higher cultivation levels than Lu Ming would also be of use, but the effect would be relatively smaller. However, this effect should not be underestimated. If he were to affect his opponent's bloodline or even blood essence in a great battle, his combat power would definitely be greatly reduced. Be careful. At this moment, the head of the Mo family shouted. Due to the influence of the devouring power from Lu Ming's bloodline, the Mo family's 100-sword battle formation became unstable. Yan Quan seized the opportunity to attack, and was immediately at a disadvantage. The Mo family will be destroyed today. Yan Quan roared, his attacks like a tide. Hold on. Yan Quan has been suppressed for more than 10 years and has been seriously injured. This is only a temporary eruption and he can't hold on for long. When he can't hold on any longer, it will be our time to counterattack. At that time, everything will still be under our control. The head of the Mo family roared. Everyone from the Mo family was determined, and used all their strength to stabilize the situation. Yan Quan's face was a little gloomy. His situation was indeed as the Mo family head had said. He had been suppressed and tortured for too long. He had many internal injuries. Now he could only use a secret skill to burst out his peak combat strength. But he couldn't hold on for long. Once the secret skill's time was up, he would be in a passive position. Immediately, Yan Quan used all his strength and attacked with all his might. Haha, Yan Quan can't hold it in anymore. It's just as I guessed, we'll hold on. The head of the Mo family laughed and revealed a happy expression. Boom! At this moment, a loud boom came from the ground behind the stone house. Then, a blood-red pillar of light shot out from the ground and broke through the clouds. Buzz! Then, a burly figure rushed out of the blood-red light pillar. Golden-eyed blood corpse. This figure was the golden-eyed blood corpse that had gone to the underground cave to absorb the flood dragon blood. But now the golden-eyed blood corpse's aura was extremely terrifying. Not any weaker than the flame spring. This was the aura of a half-step king. He didn't expect the golden-eyed blood corpse to advance from the martial ancestor 9 Dan to the half-step king realm after absorbing the flood dragon's blood. And in such a short time. After being stunned for a moment, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Goldeneye, kill them. Lu Ming pointed at the Mo family. Roar! The golden-eyed blood corpse roared and pounced towards the Mo family members. Not good, block it, block it. The Mo family head's expression changed drastically. Ha ha ha. This is the will of the heavens to destroy your Mo family. Die. How could Yin Quan miss this opportunity? He laughed as he charged towards the Mo family members. Devour. Lu Ming once again controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline. The powerful devouring power was used on the Mo family members. Boom! Boom! There were 2 explosions. Immediately after, screams of pain were heard. Some of the Mo family's warriors who were only in the first and second realm of the martial ancestor realm were killed by the terrifying energy. Even those with high cultivation were shocked. The 100-sword battle formation was broken. Chapter 333. 333 The Mo family destroyed. Under the combined attacks of Yin Quan, the golden-eyed blood corpse, and Lu Ming, the Mo family's 100 swords battle formation fell apart. 7 or 8 first and second grade martial ancestor realm experts were instantly killed. Not good, go quickly go. At this moment, the head of the Mo family was extremely frightened as he roared madly. The 100-sword battle array had been broken, and the enemy had 2 half-step king warriors. There was no need to fight. If they stayed here, they would definitely die. After the Mo family had finished shouting, he turned into a ray of light and fled into the distance. No one can escape if they want to. Yin Quan roared and was the first to chase after the Mo family head. Within a few breaths, he had caught up to the Mo family head. Flame spring. The head of the Mo family roared in shock and launched a frenzied counterattack. However, the difference between a normal martial ancestor realm warrior and a half-step king was extremely obvious. In just a few moves, the head of the Mo family was already coughing up blood. Die! Yin Quan shouted as he grabbed the head of the Mo family's head and twisted it off. Ha ha ha, kill, kill, kill! Yin Quan laughed and continued to chase after the others. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the other side, Lu Ming's long spear kept stabbing out. The spear's radiance burst out and a few Mo family warriors in the 3rd and 4th grade martial arts grandmaster realm were pierced into sieves. The golden-eyed blood zombie moved around and its body flashed rapidly. It waved its claws and tore the Mo clan martial arts grandmasters into pieces. This was a massacre. In front of the golden-eyed blood corpse and Yin Quan, the many Wuzongs of the Mo clan were as weak as babies, unable to resist at all. Even if they managed to escape, they would be caught and killed. Lu Ming did not feel sorry for her. The Inu Empire and the Blazing Sun Empire were at war. They were enemies. Moreover, it was the Mahist who wanted his life first. Since they were mortal enemies, there was no need to show mercy. Being kind to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Kill. Lu Ming held his long spear and fought a bloody battle. Now that he had broken through to the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm, any martial artist below the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm would not pose much of a threat to him. Little bastard, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. A 7th grade martial arts grandmaster elder from the Mo family roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared, and the terrifying devouring power acted on the old man's body, causing his body to slow down slightly. Whoosh! Lu Ming dashed past him and the long spear pierced through his heart, blasting a huge hole. Killed in one move. Then, the blood essence and the power of the bloodline all flew into the mouth of the 9 dragons. In the sky above the Mo family, screams rose and fell. Not far away, the Mo family's martial masters, warriors, and even those with lower cultivation bases were fleeing in all directions. Lu Ming did not kill these people. These people did not see the evolution of Lu Ming's blood meridian. They were not a threat to him and there was no need to kill them. At this moment, Su Tianqing fell into a deathly silence. Countless people hid in their homes, shivering. After a while the screams stopped. The dozens of martial arts grandmasters from the Mo family were all killed. Roar! The golden-eyed blood corpse howled as its blood chi rose. Its body was red, but its eyes were even more golden. Moing stood there in a daze and looked around. The corpses reflected in her eyes, and her eyes were extremely complicated. In this short period of time her life had experienced a tremendous change. These people used to be the elders of the family whom she respected, but now she suddenly found out that they were just using her. For a moment, she really found it hard to bear. Lu Ming did not say anything. He just stood there quietly. "Miss Moing, I'm leaving. What are your plans?" Lu Ming spoke after a while. Although Moing had also seen his bloodline evolution, he could not kill Moing to silence her. Mo Ying's body trembled as if she had come back to her senses. She squeezed out an ugly smile and said, "Brother Lu, I'm planning to leave the Inu Empire and travel the world." "That's good." Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming knew that Moing more or less held a grudge against him. No matter what, Moing was a member of the Mo family, and Lu Ming had killed so many of their members. It was normal for Moing to bear a grudge against him. Therefore, Lu Ming did not invite Moing to go with him. "Brother Lu, I'll see you again if fate allows it," Moing said softly. She glanced at the Mo family, then turned into a rainbow light and disappeared into the sky. "Haha, little brother, I can't bear to." At this moment, Yan Quan appeared beside Lu Ming. "No, I'm just sighing. Sometimes fate is really unpredictable." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "That's right. Fate is unpredictable, so we must cultivate martial arts to break the shackles of fate and fight against the heavens." Yan Quan grinned and immediately said, "Little brother, it's all thanks to your help that I was able to escape this time. If you have any requests, just tell me. As long as it's within my power, I'll definitely do my best." Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. "You're too kind, senior. It was just a coincidence." "That won't do. I've always been a person who repays kindness with kindness and hatred with hatred. Otherwise I wouldn't feel at ease. This time it's all thanks to you. Otherwise not only would I not be able to get out of this trap, but I would also be refined into a moon demonic chief and be trapped in it forever. This is a great favor that I have to repay," Yan Quan stubbornly said. "This?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed. To be honest, Yan Quan's combat power was extremely strong. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want to ask Yan Quan for help. "Senior, please stay by my side and help me for a while. Is that possible?" Lu Ming said after a moment of silence. "Okay, then I'll stay by your side and help you for 10 years. After 10 years we'll be even. How about it?" he said. Yan Quan opened his mouth and said. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, senior." The current situation in the Blazing Sun Empire was complicated. With Yan Quan's help and the GoldenEye blood corpse, Lu Ming finally had the ability to protect himself. He could then become a true overlord in the Blazing Sun Empire, and have the power to compete with the omnidirectional sword school. One had to know that in the Blazing Sun Empire, half-step kings were the strongest. The Blazing Sun Empire had not produced a true king for hundreds of years. Yan Quan grinned. In fact, Yan Quan was also very curious about Lu Ming. He was so young, but not only was he very powerful, but he also had a powerful existence like the golden-eyed blood zombie by his side. Yan Quan had lived for many years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a thing. "Senior, to tell you the truth, I'm not from the Inu Empire, but from the Blazing Sun Empire. Moreover, the Blazing Sun and Inu Empires are currently at war. I wonder if Senior would mind?" Lu Ming said. "A war between two countries? The royal family of the Dark Moon Empire is despicable and tried to harm me. I'm going to get even with them. I'm going to the Blazing Sun Empire and kill the experts of the Dark Moon Empire. That's what I want. Yin Quan laughed. All right, let's go. Lu Ming said. Soon after the golden-eyed blood corpse and Yin Quan turned into a rainbow and disappeared in the direction of the Moonview city. On the way, Lu Ming briefly explained his identity and the current situation. Lu Ming also had a rough idea of the experience at the Flame Spring. Chapter 334. 334 Chapter 334 Return. Something big has happened. Yin Quan was not a native of the Dark Moon Empire, but a foreign cultivator who had traveled to the Dark Moon Empire more than 10 years ago. In the meantime, he got to know a top expert of the Inoue royal family, and the previous master of the Mo family. At that time, the three of them had a very good relationship. Who would have thought that the previous master of the Mo family, and the existence of the Inoue royal family would have the ambition of Wallivers? They had secretly poisoned the Flame Spring, and then suppressed it under the Mo family in order to refine it into the Inoue demonic chief. This suppression had lasted for more than 10 years. If Lu Ming had not encountered this by chance, he would not have been able to escape the fate of being refined into the Inoue demonic chief. On the way, Yin Quan's expression suddenly changed slightly, revealing a bitter smile. I've been suppressed for more than 10 years, and I've been seriously injured. I've also forcefully activated my secret skill earlier, and now that the time limit is up, I need to find a place to heal. Senior's healing is more important, Lu Ming said. Immediately, the two of them found a hidden place. Yin Quan sat cross-legged and began to heal his injuries. Lu Ming had the golden-eyed blood corpse patrol the surroundings while he sat cross-legged. Previously, he had devoured a large amount of blood essence, and now he was just about to start refining. Half of it was absorbed by the bloodline, while the other half was converted into true qi. There were dozens of Mo clan's martial arts grandmasters. Among them, there were a few in the 8th level of the martial arts grandmaster realm and the head of the Mo clan, who was in the 9th level of martial arts grandmaster realm. How strong was the power of blood essence? Lu Ming's cultivation level rose rapidly again. After a day, Lu Ming's cultivation level rose to the peak of the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. However, at this point, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried, he could not break through. Lu Ming knew that his cultivation level had increased too quickly, causing his essential qi to be impure and his foundation to be unstable. He needed a period of time to polish it before he could continue to improve. Lu Ming then used the remaining blood essence to improve his blood meridian. However, after refining all the blood essence, the 9-dragon bloodline was still king class and did not improve. It was too difficult to improve one's bloodline. At this time, Yin Quan was still circulating his energy to heal his injuries. His entire body was suffused with waves of scarlet-red aura. It was incomparably hot as he recuperated his body. Yin Quan's healing took 7 days. 7 days later, Yin Quan opened his eyes. Senior, how do you feel? Lu Ming asked. After being suppressed for more than 10 years, I have too many hidden injuries. It will be difficult to heal them in a short time. However, I have stabilized them for the time being. If I go all out during the war, it will not be a problem. As for the other hidden injuries, I will slowly recuperate. It will not take long for them to recover. Yin Quan said. That's good. Lu Ming said with a smile. Then the three of them continued their journey. With the speed of the three of them, it only took half a day to return to Moonview City. Of course, on the way, Lu Ming put on his mask again and returned to Tianyun's appearance. Lord Marquis has returned. The blood-red cavalry in charge of patrolling the camp shouted in surprise when they saw Lu Ming. Immediately after, the news of Lu Ming's return spread throughout Moonview City at a crazy speed, causing a huge sensation. Buzz! Buzz! 2 figures flew over at high speed. They were Qiu Yu and Xian Yanqing. Young master! Qiu Yu was extremely excited when she saw Lu Ming. She was not afraid of being embarrassed and threw herself into Lu Ming's arms. Her tears flowed like pearls and she cried like a pear blossom bathed in rain. Young master, you're finally back. We saw the traces of a battle at the Golden Eyes cultivation place and thought you. Woo, it's great that you're back. Qiu Yu burst into tears and her eyes rolled down, wetting Lu Ming's clothes. Silly girl, your young master is very lucky. How could something easily happen to him? Besides, I can't bear to leave my Qiuyu. Lu Ming stroked Qiuyu's hair and said softly. Qiuyu felt better and left Lu Ming's arms. However, her eyes were red and tears were still welling up. Xian Yanqing gritted his teeth and remained silent. You're so comfortable. You're so sweet and soft the moment you come back. Xian Yanqing gritted his teeth. Little Qing, my arms are free now. Do you want to try? Lu Ming blinked and smiled. Try your head. It's good that you're not dead. Xian Yanqing continued to snort. I still owe you one thing. How can I die before I finish it? Lu Ming laughed. It's good that you remember. Xian Yanqing continued to sneer. At this moment, Hua Ying and the other blood-red cavalry generals appeared one by one. Then it was Ming Meng, the 3 Ming siblings, and the others. Greetings, Lord Marquis. When they saw Lu Ming, they saluted him. No need to be so polite. Let's go back to the camp. Lu Ming waved his hand. On the way, Yen Quan saw the majestic and powerful blood-red cavalry, and his eyes flashed with a strange light. He was quite shocked. However, Lu Ming frowned. This was because he realized that the entire military camp was on high alert and the atmosphere was very heavy. Could it be that another war had occurred recently? Huang, how's the situation recently? Could it be that another battle is about to take place? The atmosphere in the camp doesn't feel right. Lu Ming asked as soon as they arrived at the camp. Lord Marquis, something big has happened. This was Huang's first sentence, and her face was extremely serious. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and swept his gaze across the room. He noticed that Ming Meng, Ming Cheng, and the rest all had grave expressions. Lu Ming had a bad feeling and asked, Tell me what happened. Lord Marquis, the Ghost Moon Saber sect has been destroyed. Huang replied. What? Even with Lu Ming's mental fortitude, his body trembled violently at this moment, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. The Ghost Moon Saber sect was one of the 5 great sects of the Blazing Sun Empire. It dominated the north of the Blazing Sun Empire and was an overlord. It was extremely powerful. How could such a powerful force be destroyed just like that? Even if the 10 Direction Sword School attacked with all their might, they might not be able to take down the Ghost Moon Saber sect. What's going on? Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Master Ho, 10 days ago, the Dark Moon Empire dispatched 2 million troops to attack the Ghost Moon Saber sect's territory. The Ghost Moon Saber sect sent out a large number of experts to resist, but they never expected that at this time, a large number of experts from the 10 Direction Sword sect would suddenly attack the Ghost Moon Saber sect. At the same time, a portion of the Ghost Moon Saber sect's people had long surrendered to the 10 Direction Sword sect and attacked the Ghost Moon Saber sect from the inside. Cooperating from the inside and from the outside, they broke through the Ghost Moon Saber sect in one fell swoop, and a large number of Ghost Moon Saber sect disciples were slaughtered. After that, Shifang Jian sent out a large number of experts, and together with the experts of the Dark Moon Empire, they surrounded and killed the experts of the Ghost Moon Saber sect. The Ghost Moon Saber sect was caught off guard, and the experts were all killed and injured. The Ghost Moon Saber sect was completely destroyed. Huang explained. So that's how it is. I understand. This is a trap that was set up from the start. Lu Ming had a sudden realization. It was obvious that the 10 Direction Sword School had been working with the Dark Moon Empire for a long time. That was why the Yin Moon Empire's army had decided to attack. Their goal was to attract the powerhouses of the Ghost Moon Saber sect and make preparations for their attack. Unfortunately, the Dark Moon Empire suffered heavy losses due to Lu Ming's sabotage last time and did not attract many powerhouses from the Ghost Moon Saber sect. Therefore, there were assassins who tried to kill Lu Ming. Moreover, there were people from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion among them. After thinking about it, everything was clear. 10 Direction Sword School. You 10 Direction Sword School. Lu Ming muttered. Chapter 335. 335 Chapter 335 Before one wave settled, another wave rose. Lord Marquis, the Ghost Moon Saber sect has been destroyed. and the entire Blazing Sun Empire has been shaken. We're in the north, not far from the Ghost Moon Saber sect. We're afraid that the 10 Direction Sword School will make a move on us, so we're so heavily guarded. Oh, Huang explained. The Ghost Moon Saber sect has been exterminated, and the army of the Inu Empire has moved south and occupied a large area of the Burning Sun Empire's territory. I guess this is the benefit that the 10-directional sword sect has promised the Inu Empire. They're really a bunch of traitors. Ming Meng said through gritted teeth. Has the 10-direction sword sect made any new moves during this time? Lu Ming asked. Not yet, Huang said. Keep an eye on the news from the outside world. The 10-direction sword sect's move has shaken the entire country. The other sects will definitely not remain indifferent. They will definitely join forces. This is not good news for the 10-direction sword sect. Therefore, the 10-direction sword sect will definitely make a big move next. Lu Ming analyzed. At this moment, Ming Meng's expression changed slightly. He moved his hand and a jade tablet appeared. This was a 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman, and most generals would have one in their hands to transmit messages. When Ming Meng saw the message from the 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman, his body trembled violently, and his face instantly became extremely pale, without a trace of blood. How did this happen? Ming Meng roared, his eyes filled with disbelief. Brother Ming, what happened? Lu Ming asked hurriedly, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. The Heavenly King of Suppression revolted and led the army to break into the capital and raze the palace. His Majesty the Emperor was killed. Ming Meng was practically trembling as he called out. What? Ming Meng's words were like a bolt of lightning on a clear day. It rang in the hearts of most of the people present, including Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Huang, and the rest turned pale. Heavenly King Suppression, 10-direction sword school. Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging like a tide. Heavenly King Zhen couldn't have done this alone. Without thinking, the one controlling everything was definitely the 10-direction sword school. Traitor, traitor, how dare the Heavenly King, this traitor? How dare he? Huang shouted hysterically, her eyes red. He was a member of the imperial family, and he almost went crazy. Heavenly King Zhentian's banner is to get rid of the fatuous ruler, and build a strong and powerful Burning Sun Empire. Haha, how shameless, how shameless. Ming Meng laughed from extreme anger. Father, mother. The first people that came to Lu Ming's mind were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. How were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping doing in the General Star Hall? At the thought of this, Lu Ming was burning with anxiety. Young master, old master and madam. At the side, Qiuyu clutched Lu Ming's arm tightly. Her entire body trembled slightly and she was extremely worried. Brother Ming, is there any more news? Did anyone from the imperial family survive? Lu Ming forced himself to calm down. It had already happened, so there was no point in worrying. Only by getting more information could he decide what to do next. According to the news, Heavenly King Zhentian actually attacked. His Majesty and the experts of the royal family fought back with all their might, and in the end, the 8th prince managed to escape with a group of people. However, after the 8th prince and his group escaped from the imperial city, there was no news of them at all. Ming Meng said, Hua Qi has escaped. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he had a glimmer of hope. If it was possible, Hua Qi would have definitely brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping with him when he escaped. That way, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping might still be fine. 10-direction sword sect, if anything happens to my parents, I swear I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with endless cold killing intent. Lord Marquis, what should we do now? From now on, the entire mountain suppressing army will listen to Lord Marquis's orders. Ming Meng cupped his fists and knelt on one knee. All right. Lu Ming did not decline and agreed immediately. In terms of rank, the Marquis champion was higher than Ming Meng, so it was normal for him to lead the mountain suppressing army. All generals, hear my order. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and began to give orders. Lord Marquis, please give your orders. Huang, Ming Meng and the others all knelt on one knee. Full Moon City is located in the north. To the north is the Inua Empire, and to the south is the Shifang Sword School. It's very disadvantageous for us, so we shouldn't stay for long. Ming Meng, lead the mountain guarding army to the east and head to the Forgotten Immortal Pass. The Forgotten Immortal Pass is easy to defend and hard to attack. It's a natural stronghold and has always been under the command of the royal family. We will never ally our Slaviers with the 10 Direction Sword sect. Moreover, after we reach the Forgotten Immortal Pass, we can form a corner with the mystical sword sect and join forces with them to resist the 10 Direction Sword sect. Lu Ming instructed. He knew that the Blazing Sun Empire was about to fall into chaos, and a great war was about to break out. Your subordinate obeys, Ming Meng said. In addition, 30,000 blood-red cavalry, come with me to the imperial capital and save the 8th prince, Lu Ming ordered, his eyes filled with killing intent. Yes. Huaying and the others acknowledged the order loudly, their killing intent soaring. Lord Marquis, you can't. There are many experts in the Shifang sword sect. This trip is too dangerous. Ming Meng's expression changed drastically as he opposed. Although the blood-red cavalry were strong, they could only charge and break through enemy lines. If the omnipresent sword sect sent a top expert to assassinate Lu Ming, it would be dangerous. The others also hesitated. It's fine. I'll kill anyone from the 10 Direction Sword sect I see, Lu Ming said coldly. Boom, boom, boom. Just then a loud rumble came from outside. Report. There's a large army coming from outside. A soldier came to report. It must be the 10 Direction Sword School. The 10 Direction Sword School is finally here. I knew they wouldn't leave a nail like us here. Ming Meng's expression changed. Good. Blood-red iron cavalry, follow me to kill the enemy, Lu Ming ordered. Yes. Huaying and the others accepted the order. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, Lu Ming rode the blood-scaled Wolf King, followed by Xian Yanqing, Qiu Yu, the golden-eyed blood corpse, Yan Quan, Huaying, Ming Meng, and the rest. He led 30,000 blood-red cavalry out of the camp and arrived outside Moonview City. In front of him, dust filled the air as a majestic army appeared in sight. Black warhorses, black armor, black weapons, and a flood of pitch-black steel surged through the world. A huge flag with a divine sword embroidered on it fluttered in the wind. That's the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's Ghost Metal Army. It seems like the Ghost Metal Army has already joined the 10 Direction Sword School. Ming Meng's expression changed. That flag was the flag of the 10 Direction Sword Sect. Lu Ming nodded. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect had been annihilated. It was normal for some of the legions under the Ghost Moon Saber Sect to join the Omnidirectional Sword Sect. Boom! 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 The Ghost Metal Army stopped a few miles away. They had a strong aura and were densely packed. Judging from their numbers, there should be no less than 100,000 people. Buzz! Buzz! A few figures flew out from the Ghost Metal Army and hovered above Lu Ming and the rest. There were a total of 3 people, 1 old man and 2 middle-aged men. They all carried swords on their backs and were obviously experts from the 10 Direction Sword School. The 3 of them exuded extremely powerful auras. One is at the peak of the 8th level of the Martial Ancestor realm, and 2 are at the peak of the 7th level. Ming Meng cried out in alarm, his expression extremely ugly. Chapter 336. 336 Chapter 336 One slapped to death. The 3 men from the Omnidirectional Sword Sect swept their gazes across Lu Ming and his group before finally stopping on him. Oh, you're Tianyun? The leading old man asked. Not bad, Lu Ming said calmly. He wanted to see what the other party was selling. Tianyun, you've repeatedly opposed my 10 Direction Sword School and killed our geniuses and experts. Do you admit your crimes? The old man in the lead glared at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Admit to your crimes? I haven't even said that killing a few dogs hit things from your Shifang sword sect would dirty my hands, and you want me to admit to my crimes? What crime? Lu Ming replied indifferently. He did not take the other party seriously at all. You. The leading old man's face turned ashen, and he exuded an ice-cold killing intent. After a long time he calmed down, waved his sleeves and said in a deep voice, Tianyun, There are no eternal enemies in the world, only eternal interests. Today I can give you a chance to atone for your sins. As long as you lead the blood-red cavalry and pledge your loyalty to the 10 Direction Sword sect, and make a blood oath, I can consider letting you go. All the crimes you've committed in the past can be written off. After the old man finished speaking, everyone understood what the other party meant. Now that the Red Blood Army was powerful and famous in the Sun Nation and the Moon Nation, the omnidirectional sword sect was planning to recruit Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered. I want you to let me go? Who the hell do you think you are, you old thing? Do you really think you're some big shot? Alright, are you done with your nonsense? If you're done, you can go and die. Lu Ming glanced at the other party and lost his patience. Little bastard, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Then I will kill you today. After I kill you, the Red Blood Legion will still belong to my 10 Direction Sword sect. Die! The old man's face completely darkened. He shouted angrily and slashed out with his sword. This sword fully displayed the elder's strength of the 8th level of the martial ancestor realm. It had the power to split mountains and break rivers, which was extremely shocking. Not good, be careful. Ming Ming roared. Young master. Dodge. Lord Marquis. Qiu Yu, Xian Yanqing, Huaying and the others were all shocked. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, it was impossible for him to be a match for a martial arts grandmaster at the peak of the 8th level. However, Lu Ming was still riding on the crimson-scaled Wolf King. Die! The old man's expression was ferocious. The sword light became even more dazzling and quickly slashed at Lu Ming's head. Seeing that it was about to hit Lu Ming's head, the old man was overjoyed. He was screaming in his heart. What peerless genius! If he hadn't grown up, what kind of genius was he? You're still going to die in my hands. However, as soon as he had this thought, he saw a slap coming from Lu Ming's side. Bang! This slap was on his sword light. The sword light was like tofu and instantly shattered. The old man was stunned. Ming Ming, Qiu Yu and the others were also stunned. It's just a fly making a big fuss here. It's so annoying. Yan Quan appeared beside Lu Ming and said indifferently. The slap just now was, of course, from Yan Quan. Who are you? I'm an elder of the 10 Direction Sword School, you dare. The elder from the 10 Direction Sword sect was stunned for a moment before he shouted. However, before he could finish, Yan Quan's palm struck again. Pa! No one could clearly see how this slap was swung. It was too fast. They only felt their vision blur. And then they heard a clear slap. Then the elder from the 10 Direction Sword sect let out a blood-curdling scream and was sent flying. In the air, his head exploded like a watermelon, and red and white matter flew everywhere. This. Ming Meng and the others almost bit their tongues, their eyes almost popping out. An expert at the peak of the martial ancestor 8 Dan was considered a top-notch expert in the Blazing Sun Empire. In the 5 major sects, he was definitely a high and mighty existence. His status was even higher than that of an ordinary golden-robed elder. The average golden-robed elder was only at the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm. A peak martial ancestor 8 Dan expert had actually been killed by a single slap. This was too shocking. The elder beside Lu Ming was actually such a terrifying expert. Previously, when Ming Meng and the rest saw Yan Quan, they had only guessed that he was an ordinary martial arts grandmaster. They had never expected him to be so terrifying. Following that, they looked at Lu Ming with even more respect. Lu Ming could actually get such a person to follow him. How did he do it? The 2 remaining men from the 10 Direction Sword sect were scared out of their wits. They roared and turned to run. How is it possible for you to escape in front of me? Yan Quan coldly smiled and threw a punch. Boom! Boom! 2 fist forces shot out. The 2 burly men at the peak of martial ancestor 7 Dan were directly drowned by the fist energy. When the fist energy disappeared, not even dregs were left of the 2 burly men. To be able to deal with 2 experts at the peak of the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm so easily, it once again left everyone dumbfounded. Lu Ming was the only exception. What a waste, what a waste! Lu Ming's heart ached terribly. Yan Quan's punch had even burned his blood essence clean. How could Lu Ming not feel heartache? These were two experts in the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm. The commotion here naturally shocked the ghost metal army several miles away. Not good. Tianyun has made his move. Kill them all. Of course, there were also experts from the omnidirectional sword school in the ghost metal army. They roared and led the army to charge at Lu Ming and the others. Charge, crush them. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Ow! Ow! Oh! The blood-red scaled wolf howled madly, and its roar shook the sky as it charged towards the ghost metal army. The power of the aura was earth-shaking. Not good, the mount is frightened. Charge, animal. Hurry up and charge. The 30,000 scarlet blood-scaled wallevers howled, causing the ghost metal army's mounts to be frightened, and their formation to become unstable. And in this short moment, the blood-red scaled wolf had already arrived. Boom! The two armies collided with each other. At this moment the winner was decided. The ghost metal army was like a piece of paper, while the blood-red cavalry were like a blade. As soon as they touched, a hole was torn in the ghost metal army, and this hole was rapidly expanding. Hold on, you trash! An expert from the 10 Direction Sword sect shouted. What are you shouting for? At this moment, Yin Quan's figure appeared beside him. Arg! Help me! Just as he was about to shout, Yin Quan's head was cut off with a wave of his hand. Yin Quan leaped through the tens of thousands of soldiers and killed the martial grandmaster expert. No one could stop him. Half-step kings were also something that only half-step kings could block. Fighting against an army of 10,000 was simply cheating. Because the difference was too great, it was no longer something that could be so levered with numbers. Unless they had the Mo family's battle formation and dozens of martial arts grandmasters, they would not be able to fight back. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons hovered above Lu Ming's head. With a loud roar, a terrifying devouring power erupted. Immediately, the bloodline power and blood essence of hundreds of Ghost Iron Legion soldiers were forcibly devoured. Lu Ming left behind a trail of corpses wherever he went. This was a one-sided battle. The Ghost Iron Army could not stop the Red Blood Army at all. The battle cries shook the sky, corpses were strewn all over the ground, and blood chi filled the air. Chapter 337. 337 Chapter 337 Yutong Pass. I surrender, I surrender. Oh! Finally, someone from the Ghost Iron Army shouted, threw away his weapon and jumped off his horse. I'm also going. After the first one, there would naturally be the 2nd, 3rd, 10th and 100th. The Ghost Metal Army was originally an army of the Ghost Moon Saber sect. It was already good enough that they didn't have any enmity towards the 10 Direction Sword sect. How could they have any loyalty? Once they saw that the situation was not right, they naturally surrendered. We won't kill those who surrender. Lu Ming roared loudly, his voice spreading throughout the entire area. We won't kill those who surrender. Ming Meng, Hua Ying and the others also shouted. This time even more people from the Ghost Iron Army surrendered. Large numbers of people dismounted and knelt on the ground. In the army, the people from the omnipresent sword sect saw that they had lost the battle and wanted to escape. However, they were all killed by Lu Ming and the others. In this battle, they had destroyed the Ghost Metal Army of 100,000 without much effort. Ming Meng, I'll leave the surrendered Ghost Metal Army to you. Bring them to the Forgotten Immortal Pass. They will be a powerful force in the future. Lu Ming instructed. Yes, Lord Marquis. Ming Meng cupped his fists and accepted the order. At the side, the 3 siblings Ming Chang, Ming Zhu and Ming Feng had complicated expressions on their faces. This young man who used to cultivate with them in the General Stars Hall had now completely surpassed them. Even their father had to listen to Lu Ming now. However, they did not feel jealous at all. They were only happy for Lu Ming and encouraged them. Slaviers. Blood Red Cavalry, come with me to the capital and save the 8th prince. Do you dare? Lu Ming waved his long spear and shouted. I dare. He dared. I dare. The 30,000 Blood Red Cavalry roared. All right, since you dare, then we'll break through all the obstacles and kill our way to the imperial capital. We'll kill any god or Buddha that blocks our way. Lu Ming roared. I'm willing to chase whoever my lord is. I'll kill whoever stands in my way, even if God or Buddha blocks my way. The 30,000 blood-red iron cavalry felt their blood boil as they waved their weapons and roared. At this moment even Ming Meng, who had been a veteran for many years, felt his blood burning. He could not wait to follow Lu Ming and kill to his heart's content. However, he knew that he had more important things to do. Charge! Lu Ming waved his spear. The blood-scaled Wolf King howled and charged forward like a gust of wind. On the side, Xiao Yu, Xian Yanqing, Yan Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse followed closely behind. Charge! The howls of the Wallivers continued as the 30,000 blood-red cavalry charged forward with Lu Ming, carrying a crazed aura. The wind is blowing. Ming Meng muttered to himself as he looked at the 30,000 blood-red cavalry. After which, he also started to move. He gathered his men and picked out his items. Then, he led an army of more than 100,000 soldiers toward the gazing Immortal Pass. The blood-red scaled wolf's speed was as fast as the wind, and it could easily travel 1,000 miles in an hour. In a few hours they had galloped for thousands of miles. The cities along the way did not dare to stop the blood-red cavalry when they saw them. The journey was unimpeded, and they passed through dozens of big cities. Soon they were close to Yutong Pass. Yutong Pass was a famous pass in the north of the Burning Sun Empire. This place was surrounded by continuous precipitous mountains, thousands of meters high, and Yutong Pass happened to be in the middle of the two peaks. It could be said that on Yutong Pass, one man could hold the pass, but 10,000 could not open it. In history, the Innu Empire had also captured many cities in the north, but they were all blocked outside Yutong Pass. Now, the general in charge of Yutong Pass was called Wan Xiu. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. He led 120,000 soldiers and guarded Yutong Pass. He ruled over dozens of big cities in the vicinity. He could be said to be a big shot with great power. Moreover, he had long since joined the 10-Direction Sword School. As such, his reputation had grown even more glorious, and he was considered a top figure in the entire Blazing Sun Empire. Wan Xiu had a hobby, which was to hold banquets on the walls of Yutong Pass and invite famous people. Standing on the walls of Yutong Pass, looking down at the vast land and listening to others' flattery, he felt like he was the king of the world and had thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. He was fascinated by this feeling. Today, on the city wall of Yutong Pass, he set up a banquet and invited the city lords and martial arts powerhouses of more than a dozen nearby big cities to attend. On the city wall there were several tables. Congratulations, General Wan. Congratulations, General Wan. A middle-aged man with a big belly raised his glass and congratulated Wan Xiu. Patriarch Shun, what's the joy? Wan Xiu asked despite knowing the answer. Haha, General Wan is really humble. Everyone knows the current situation. A while ago, the 10-Direction Sword School destroyed the Ghost Moon Saber sect in one fell swoop. A few days ago, the Heavenly King broke into the imperial capital and killed Hua Zhangxing. Now, the change of dynasty is already set in stone. Now, the Heavenly Fiend sect and the Omnipresent Sword sect have joined forces and occupied the imperial capital, ruling the world. Now, only the Mystical Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley can rival the Omnipresent Sword sect. However, in my opinion, the Mystical Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley are no match for the Omnipresent Sword sect. By then, the Omnipresent Sword sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire and rule the world. General Wan, as the confidant of the Omnipresent Sword sect, won't you be thriving? Isn't this worthy of congratulations? The big-bellied, middle-aged man laughed. That's right, Patriarch Chen is right. When General Wan rises to the top, don't forget about us. At the banquet, the others also began to flatter him. This made Wan Xiu feel a little smug. She stroked her sparse beard and grinned from ear to ear. Boom! 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 Suddenly, the ground let out a deep rumble. The wine on the table started to shake. Everyone's expression changed. Report! At this moment, an armored soldier quickly came to report. What happened? Wan Xiu asked. Reporting to the general. There might be an army coming from the north. The armored soldier reported. An army is coming? How is that possible? The Ghost Moon Saber sect has already been destroyed, and the north is now completely under the control of the 10-Direction Sword sect. Could it be the great army of the Yin Moon Empire? Wan Xiu's eyes moved as she thought. Impossible. I heard that the Yin Empire and the Shifeng Sword School have an agreement that they won't attack us now. Whose army is it? Wan Xiu's eyes kept moving. General Wan, there's another army in the north. It's the Red Blood Legion led by Marquis Champion Tianyun and Ming Meng's mountain suppressing army. Could it be them? A city lord of a big city guessed. As soon as he said that, the others' expressions changed drastically. Tianyun? Could it really be Tianyun? It said that the blood-red cavalry led by Tianyun are incredibly powerful and invincible. In front of them, the Inuit cavalry are as fragile as tofu. If it really is Tianyun's blood-red cavalry, then we should run for our lives. Another city lord cried out in fear. Why are you panicking? In my opinion, Tianyun and his blood-red cavalry have been exaggerated. What, invincible? They've only won a few battles by luck. Besides, so what if he's really as strong as the rumors say? Tianyun's blood-red iron cavalry can only obediently retreat in front of our Jade Tong Pass. If he wants to force his way in, I'll make sure he dies without a burial ground. Men set up the defense. Wan Xiu was calm and composed. She sneered and then gave the order. Oh. Very quickly, Yutong Pass was filled with armored soldiers. That's right, Yutong Pass can't be broken. I've been overthinking. The city lord heaved a long sigh of relief. Boom! 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 The rumbling grew even louder, and the entire world seemed to be shaking. Ow! Ow! In the distance, the howls of Wallivers rose and fell, connecting into one. Chapter 338. 338 Chapter 338 News of Hua Qi. There were countless crimson-scaled Wallivers, and each one of them was majestic and tall, and each one was filled with a baleful aura. Oh! The aura of 30,000 blood-scaled Wallivers and 30,000 Master Realm cavalrymen gathered together and galloped on the ground. This kind of aura was simply earth-shaking. It was like a tsunami that was a few hundred meters tall, sweeping through the world as if it could destroy everything. Wan Xiu's pupils dilated rapidly, revealing an extremely frightened expression. These are the blood-red cavalry? His voice trembled, his face pale and cold sweat flowing. Some of the other city lords were also trembling, and their faces were pale. They had been confident that Yutong Pass was unbreakable, but their confidence crumbled when they saw the situation in front of them. The blood-scaled wolf's aura was too terrifying. Before, Wan Xiu had said that the outside world was exaggerating about the blood-red cavalry. Now they only wanted to roar. What exaggeration! They had clearly underestimated him. Block it, we must block it. Run! Wan Xiu shouted with all his might. Then he turned around and ran. Wait for me. The other city lords also turned around and left. With all the generals gone, there was no suspense in this battle. The dangerous terrain of Yutong Pass was not enough to stop the blood-red-scaled wolf. One had to know that the blood-red-scaled Wallivers lived on the highlands and ran through the dangerous terrain as if they were on flat ground. Half an hour later, Yutong Pass was razed to the ground. The blood-red cavalry whizzed past, heading straight for the imperial capital. The blood-red cavalry had great endurance, and after galloping for half a day, they would stop to rest. 3 days later, the blood-red iron cavalry had already galloped tens of thousands of miles and were getting closer and closer to the imperial capital. Boom! 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 There was a violent explosion in front of them. There's cavalry coming, Huang said. Could it be that the 10-Direction Sword sect sent people to surround us? Someone guessed. However, the answer was soon revealed. The neighing of horses could be heard in front of them. The aura of the Bloodscale Wolf cavalry had shaken them, and they were thrown off their horses. Lu Ming and the group were speechless. The combat ability of this army was really not that good. Moreover, there weren't many of them, probably only about 10,000. Were they really sent by the Shifeng Sword sect to surround them? You must be joking. Lu Ming led the blood-red cavalry and stopped. They did not attack. After a long time, The troops in front were organized, and a few burly men in iron armor galloped out on green scale horses. "Who are you people? You dare to block our path?" A short and fat man glared and shouted angrily. It turned out that they had not recognized the blood-red cavalry. That's right, unless there were soldiers at the border, it was normal for the soldiers near the capital to not recognize the blood-red cavalry. "I still want to ask, who are you people? You dare to stand in my way?" Lu Ming rolled his eyes and shouted, "We are the army under the Heavenly King. We are ordered to capture the rebels of the royal family. Get out of the way now. If you delay the Heavenly King's plan, even if you have 10 heads, it won't be enough." The short and fat man shouted. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Capture the rebels of the royal family? Could it be Hua Qi? Do you know where the 8th prince is? Lu Ming asked. The short and fat man's eyes revealed a vigilant look, and he said, "Speak, who are you? Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." "Kill. Leave the general in front alive." The short and stout man had just finished speaking when Lu Ming roared loudly. "Ow! A woo!" Wolf howls rang out as the Bloodscale Wolf cavalry began to charge. Without the slightest suspense, the blood-red cavalry only needed to charge to cause this army of 10,000 to fall apart. Those who died in battle died, those who fled and those who submitted. The few generals in the lead were all captured alive. "What? You guys are blood-red cavalry?" At this moment, the short and fat man seemed to have remembered something and shouted in horror. "Your reaction isn't too slow. All right, tell me, where are the 8th prince and the others?" Lu Ming stared at the stout man and asked coldly, "What the hell are you? You're Tianyun?" The short and fat man's body trembled non-stop, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Speak!" Lu Ming shouted coldly. I'll tell you. Please spare my life." The short and fat man screamed. "Speak!" Lu Ming's killing intent burst out and it was extremely cold. I'll tell you. We received news that the 8th prince has taken his men to hide in the East River mountain range. We were ordered to send our army into the mountain range to surround and annihilate them. We're just one of the many armies. Many other armies have set off before us." The short and fat man shouted. "The Eastern River mountain range." Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anxiety as he shouted, "Lead the way. Let's set off for the Eastern River mountain range." The short and stout man naturally did not dare to disobey. He immediately led the way, and the blood-red cavalry galloped towards the East River mountain range. The East River mountain range wasn't far from here. With the blood-red scaled wolf speed, it would only take an hour to cover the distance of 1,000 li. The Eastern River mountain range wasn't very famous. Although this mountain range was vast, its peaks weren't high, and it wasn't very dangerous. There weren't any powerful demonic beasts either, and even ordinary people could enter. A small hill was surrounded by an army of at least tens of thousands of people, so tight that not even a drop of water could pass through. In the air, there were also more than 20 powerhouses standing in the air. "Hua Qi, I advise you to surrender. Don't make any pointless struggles. You've lost, and your fate has been decided." In the air, a big man with fluttering sleeves and a sword on his back shouted. That's right, Hua Qi and the others were on the hill. There were about 2,000 of them, and all of them were in tattered clothes. There were still some bloodstains that had not dried up. It was obvious that they had experienced a fierce battle during this period of time. Hua Qi stood at the forefront of the hill. Beside him, there were more than a dozen middle-aged men and elders. Each of them had a powerful aura that was as large as a mountain. This was the imperial family's only remaining expert. Behind them were two figures. They were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. At this moment, the two of them were extremely haggard, their faces pale and their bodies weak. Lu Yuntian had already lost his cultivation base while Li Ping was just an ordinary person. One could only imagine how much suffering the two of them had gone through to escape with Hua Qi and the others. "8th Prince, you should run away first. With these seniors leading you, there's still a chance for you to escape. When you find Ming-er, ask him to take revenge for us," Lu Yuntian said to Hua Qi. "Uncle Lu, I, Hua Qi, am not the kind of person who would drag out an ignoble existence. Furthermore, since Brother Lu has entrusted you to me and he is fighting alone at the border, I must ensure your safety. Otherwise, how can I face him? Hua Qi smiled and stood up straight. Lu Yuntian sighed. Brother Tian. Li Ping grabbed Lu Yuntian's hand tightly. Ping I'm already satisfied to be able to see you again. It's a pity that I've implicated you. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping and asked. Brother Tian, I'm not afraid. As long as I'm with you, it doesn't matter whether I live or die. Li Ping said. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping with pity and said, I believe that Ming will avenge us. One day Ming will flatten the 10-direction sword school. I also believe that. Li Ping nodded. Chapter 339. 339 Chapter 339 Kill Without Mercy. You really refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Hua Qi. Then I'll send you to accompany your dead imperial father. Oh. The middle-aged man from the 10-direction sword sect was instantly enraged when he saw Hua Qi ignore him. A sharp killing intent exploded from his body. 10-direction sword sect traitor. As long as I don't die today, I'll definitely flatten the 10-direction mountain. You're courting death. Seeing the other party insult his father, Hua Qi's eyes gleamed with cold killing intent. Ha ha ha, you think you can flatten the 10-square mountain? This is the funniest joke I've ever heard in all my decades of life. The middle-aged man laughed. And do you think you can escape today? The area within several li has already been completely surrounded by an army of 100,000 soldiers, and the experts of my 10-direction sword school have sealed off the sky and the ground. You can't escape and no one can come in, haha. The middle-aged man laughed mockingly. Oh really? Then how did I get in? Suddenly, a cold voice came from above their heads. Who is it? The swordsman suddenly raised his head and looked up. High up in the sky, 3 figures stood in the air. One was a young man, one was an old man, and the other was a burly man who was covered in a black robe and a bamboo hat. On the hill, Hua Qi, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping shuddered when they heard the voice. They hurriedly raised their heads and cried out in alarm. Lu Ming. Ming. The 3 people in the sky were Lu Ming, Yan Quan, and the golden-eyed blood corpse. As they neared the eastern river mountain range, Lu Ming led Yan Quan and the golden-eyed blood corpse to search for Hua Qi and the others in the sky, pointing out the direction for the blood-red cavalry. He quickly found Hua Qi and the others. With their cultivation, the experts from the 10-direction sword school did not notice them at all when they approached from the sky. Who are you? This place has already been occupied by my 10-direction sword sect. You came here without permission. Are you looking for death? The swordsman roared. He had never heard of Lu Ming. Just now, he had just said that no one could enter and Lu Ming and the rest had appeared. It was as if he had slapped his own face. This made him angry from embarrassment. However, Lu Ming did not even spare him a glance. With a flash, he appeared on the hill and went to Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. Father, mother, are you all right? I'm late. Lu Ming's voice trembled. When Lu Ming saw Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, he heaved a sigh of relief as the huge rock in his heart was finally lifted. Before he met Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, he was truly worried that something would happen to the 2 elders. Minger, we're fine. Why are you here? Don't worry about us. Hurry up and leave. Li Ping said anxiously. Mother, don't worry. Since I'm here, they won't be able to touch a single hair on your head. Wait a moment, we'll leave together. Lu Ming smiled. At this time, the sword-bearing man from the 10-direction sword sect was so angry that his mouth almost twisted. Boom! An aura as deep as the ocean erupted from his body, terrifying beyond compare. 9th level of martial arts grandmaster. This burly man with a sword on his back was actually a peerless expert of the 9th level of martial arts grandmaster. Kid, I'm asking you a question. Are you deaf? The swordsman coldly said. Who do you think you are? You ask me and I have to answer? Lu Ming cast a faint glance at him. You're looking for death. Lu Ming's indifferent expression almost made him explode in anger. With a loud roar, he unsheathed the huge sword on his back and a terrifying sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. The entire hill would be reduced to ashes if this sword were to land. Be careful. Block it. The dozen or so martial arts grandmasters behind Hua Qi immediately roared and unleashed their powers, preparing to block the sword light. There was even a 9th-level martial ancestor realm expert among them who was only injured and his aura was a little weak. This person must be a peerless expert of the imperial family. However, there was a figure that was faster than them. The golden-eyed blood corpse flashed and appeared in front of everyone. With a wave of its hand, a claw radiance shot out. Boom! With a loud sound, the golden-eyed blood zombie didn't move at all, but the swordsman's body was sent flying 100 meters away. How can he be so strong? Who are you? The swordsman shouted in disbelief. Even though he had not used his full strength in that attack, there were not many people in the entire Blazing Sun Empire who could force him back with a single strike. However, the golden-eyed blood corpse did not move. It was too lazy to bother with him. Tianyun. He's Tianyun. A shocked roar came from the army at the foot of the mountain. Obviously, someone had recognized Lu Ming. Lu Ming had stayed in the imperial capital for such a long time. It was normal for someone to recognize him. Tianyun? You're Tianyun? The swordsman's face suddenly changed. He then revealed a malevolent expression and shouted, Tianyun, so what if it's you? I admit that the person you brought is very strong. But do you think he can save more than 2,000 people by himself? I have 100,000 soldiers here. As long as I give the order, the 100,000 soldiers will charge together. How many people can you save? As soon as you leave, I'll exterminate them all. Oh, Lu Ming replied faintly. As for Hua Qi and the others, their expressions were extremely unsightly. On the hill, the other 2,000 or so people had heavy expressions. 8th Prince, you should leave with Marquis Champion first. Don't worry about us. We're members of the royal family when we're alive, and we'll be ghosts of the royal family when we die. That's right, 8th Prince. Marquis Champion is a peerless genius. As long as you escape with the help of Marquis Champion, you'll definitely be able to take revenge for us in time. 8th Prince, you can go first. On the hill, more than 2,000 people shouted, letting Hua Qi go first. If we're leaving, we'll leave together. I definitely won't abandon everyone and escape alone. Hua Qi sternly said, his expression firm. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, the swordsman laughed arrogantly. Since I'm here, I'll definitely bring everyone out of here alive. Suddenly Lu Ming spoke. His voice was firm and everyone heard it. Ha ha ha, Tianyun, with that expert you brought with you. It's true that I can't stop you from taking a few people away. However, you're dreaming if you think you can take more than 2,000 people away. Ha ha ha. The swordsman laughed in disdain. Who said I only brought 2 people? Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? The swordsman was stunned. Ow! Oh woo! Right at this moment, wolf howls rang out, reverberating through the clouds. Boom! 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 Immediately, a violent rumble came from the ground. What's going on? The swordsman's expression changed drastically. What is this? Hua Qi was startled, but then he seemed to think of something and revealed a look of ecstasy. Kill! In the forest, the earth rumbled and the sounds of battle could be heard. Not good. These are the blood-red cavalry. Tianyun's blood-red cavalry. Block them! Block them! At this moment, the swordsman seemed to have thought of something, and his expression changed drastically as he roared. Blocked? Can it be blocked? Blood-red cavalry, hear my order, kill without mercy. Lu Ming gave a long whistle and issued an order. Kill without mercy. The blood-red cavalry roared, their killing intent surging. In the next moment, heaven-suppressing battle cries came from the forest. The 100,000 soldiers in the forest were completely stunned by the sudden charge of the blood-red cavalry, and were unable to form an effective counterattack. In an instant, a large number of people died. Chapter 340. 340 The Secret of the Duanmu Family. The blood-red scaled wolf was able to walk through the forest as if it was flat ground, and its combat strength did not decrease at all. Oh! It was a completely one-sided battle. The swordsman's face turned pale and he growled, "Damn it, let's retreat." "Retreat? Where are you going?" A cold voice sounded. Yin Quan appeared behind the swordsman. "Old man, you think you can stop me? You really think I'm a pushover?" The swordsman was furious, and he violently slashed his sword forward. An extremely bright sword light slashed towards Yin Quan. It was even stronger than the previous one. He wanted to kill Yin Quan with one sword strike and escape as soon as possible. He was afraid that the golden-eyed blood zombie would catch up with him, which would be troublesome. But the next moment, his pupils rapidly contracted. Yin Quan's fist shot out, and a fist force vast and scorching bombarded towards him. Bang! The fist force hit the sword light and directly shattered it. The fist force did not stop and continued to hit the sword-carrying burly man. How could this be? How can he be so strong? The swordsman cried out in horror, his voice full of disbelief. He had already used all his strength in that sword attack just now. He had originally planned to kill Yin Quan with one sword attack, but he never dreamed that it would be shattered by Yin Quan's fist. Why would Tianyun have so many experts by his side? I have to stop it. We must inform the sect leader of this matter first. The swordsman growled and blocked with his sword. Clang! The terrifying fist force hit his combat sword, causing it to shake continuously. His body shook violently and was sent flying backward like a cannonball, blood spurting from his mouth. Half-step king. It's a half-step king. The swordsman was scared out of his wits. Without thinking, he turned around and ran. I told you, you can't leave. Yin Quan sneered. His figure was like lightning. In a few breaths he caught up to the sword-carrying man. Boom! Boom! After a few consecutive punches, the swordsman screamed as a few big holes appeared on his body. He died on the spot. Kill! Let's attack together! Hua Qi shouted. More than 2,000 people on the hill attacked at the same time, charging toward the experts of the 10-Direction Sword School and the army. Corpses were everywhere, truly everywhere. The smell of blood was so thick in the forest that it was like a living hell. The golden-eyed blood corpse roared and tore apart a few martial grandmasters from the 10-Direction Sword sect with a wave of its hand. With a roar, the golden-eyed blood corpse devoured the surging blood qi and condensed a dense blood qi on its body. Lu Ming did not make a move. He stood beside Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. There was no need for him to take part in this great battle. Not long after, the mountain forest was covered with corpses. Other than a small portion of the 100,000 troops that the 10-Direction Sword sect had brought, most of them had remained here. The experts of the 10-Direction Sword sect had all been killed, and not a single one was left. Lu Ming, I knew you would come. Hua Qi did not make a move. He walked to Lu Ming's side and said. No one else heard their conversation. Hua Qi, I didn't expect the 10-Direction Sword School to be so bold. When I heard the news, it was already too late. Lu Ming sighed. Since things have come to this, we can only move forward. Sooner or later, I will make the 10-Direction Sword sect pay with their blood. Hua Qi said through gritted teeth. Lu Ming patted Hua Qi's shoulder and said in a serious tone, Don't worry. Your problems are my problems. I will definitely destroy the 10-Direction Sword School. This time, Hua Qi had brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping along even in the midst of danger. Lu Ming was very touched by this and had already treated Hua Qi as a brother who would live and die for him. I believe you. Hua Qi revealed a smile, but in the next moment, his expression suddenly changed, as if he had thought of something. He said, Lu Ming, I have something important to tell you. What is it? Lu Ming asked. It's about the mystical sword sect. Hua Qi said. Mystical sword sect. Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. Not long ago, my father received news that the Duanmu family of the Mystic Essence Sword sect has long since joined the 10-Direction Sword sect. They've been working for the 10-Direction Sword sect in secret all these years. If my father hadn't planted a chess piece in the 5 major sects, I'm afraid he wouldn't have discovered it. Hua Qi solemnly said. What? Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming, this should be true. My father was planning to inform the sect leader of the mystical sword sect about this, But before he could, the Heavenly Suppression King, that bastard, started his rebellion. Hua Qi said through gritted teeth. The Duanmu family actually sided with the 10-direction sword school? I should have thought of it. Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil as he muttered in his heart. He had been suspicious since a long time ago. He had learned from Hua Qi that the Silavira Wolf Pavilion was an assassin group trained by the 10-direction sword sect. However, the head of the Duanmu family had repeatedly sent assassins from the Silavira Wolf Pavilion to kill him. However, he had previously thought that the Duanmu family had hired the Silavira Wolf Pavilion assassins. Now it seemed that they had not been hired with money at all. Not good. The mystical sword sect is in danger. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. Lu Ming, I'm worried about this too. The 10-direction sword sect has the ambition of a wolf. We don't know when they started to set up. First, it was the Ghost Moon Saber sect, and they had a spy from the 10-direction sword sect. Then it was my royal family. The Heavenly Suppression King has long been a member of the 10-direction sword sect. Now, the omnipresent sword sect will definitely use the same method to defeat the mystical sword sect. Once the mystical sword sect is destroyed, the Blazing Sun Empire will only have one Crimson Cloud Valley left. It will be difficult for one tree to hold the fort alone, and it will be destroyed sooner or later. At that time, the omnipresent sword sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire, and we will really be defeated. Hua Qi said, his voice filled with worry. We must stop this from happening. No matter what, the mystical sword sect cannot be destroyed. I'll send you all to the Gazing Immortal Pass and head to the mystical sword sect immediately. I hope we can make it in time. Lu Ming said. Wuxia Pass? Alright, once I get to Gazing Immortal Pass, I'll announce the crimes of the 10-direction sword school and Heavenly King Zhan. I'll call on the geniuses to oppose the power and army of the 10-direction sword school, and fight them together. Hua Qi said with a nod. The two of them came to a decision. At this time the battle had also ended, and the army had assembled. Let's go to Wuxia Pass. Lu Ming waved his hand. With Lu Ming and the blood-red cavalry escorting them, their journey was smooth. The strange thing was that the omnipresent sword sect did not make any moves. They did not send out any experts to hunt them down. This made Lu Ming and Hua Qi frown. Not a single person from the 10-direction sword sect was sent out to pursue them. It was very likely that the 10-direction sword sect's people were used for other purposes and could not spare time. If they couldn't spare any manpower, then what could they do? Now there were only the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley. Everyone galloped at top speed, and 3 days later, they were not far from the Gazing Immortal Pass. At this time, Ming Meng had already sent an army to welcome them. Hua Qi. Then we'll split into 2 groups. Lu Ming said to Hua Qi. All right, Lu Ming. I'll definitely lead the army to support you as soon as possible. Hua Qi said. Ming, be careful. He warned. Li Ping said worriedly. Father, mother, don't worry. I will be fine. Lu Ming nodded and bade farewell to everyone. Oh, blood-red cavalry, follow me. Lu Ming shouted. Let's go. The 30,000 blood-red cavalry shouted, their aura soaring as they followed Lu Ming towards the east. Chapter 341. 341 The Battle of the Mystical Sword Sect. The mystical sword sect had already fallen into the flames of war. Each of the 5 great courtyards was in an intense battle. Countless people roared as sword chi swept across and blood scattered. At every moment there were people dying in battle. Outside the 5 great academies, the battle cries shook the heavens. Countless soldiers in iron armor were fighting, and corpses were strewn all over the ground. Boom! Tens of thousands of meters above the mystical sword sect, 2 extremely bright sword radiances were clashing, as if they could split the sky. Tens of thousands of sword chi swept out, and the collision of their forces was terrifying. Duanmu Songhai. Why did your Duanmu family betray the mystical sword sect? The mystical sword sect has treated you well. The sect leader Lin Shui howled towards the sky, her voice filled with grief and indignation. The two people in the sky were Lin Shui and the old ancestor of the Duanmu family, the father of the White Tiger Hall's headmaster, Duanmu Pajuan, Duanmu Songhai. It's simple. The Duanmu family has been working hard for the mystical sword sect for almost 1,000 years, but we can only live in a corner. The mystical sword sect should have belonged to the Duanmu family long ago. On Duanmu Songhai's aged face a cold smile could be seen. Haha, so the 10 Direction Sword School made such a promise to you. But Duanmu Songhai, do you think that the 10 Direction Sword School will keep their promise after this? How can you still be so naive at your age? Lin Shui smiled bitterly. There's no need for you to worry about that. Rest in peace. The mystical sword sect will definitely flourish with each passing day in my hands. Also, don't even think that the Scarlet Heaven Valley will come to your rescue. A large number of experts from the Shifeng sword sect and the Heavenly Devil cult have gathered in the Scarlet Heaven Valley. Now, the Scarlet Heaven Valley can't even take care of itself. As long as I kill you all and combine all our forces, I can flatten the Scarlet Heaven Valley in one fell swoop. Duanmu Songhai sneered. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged a few moves in a row, and the space was shaking wildly. This was a life and death battle between half-step kings. Ah! Ah! Screams of pain came from all over the mystical sword sect, causing Shui Lin's eyes to turn red. Every scream could mean the death of a mystical sword sect disciple. Lin Shui's heart was bleeding. When the Ghost Moon Saber sect was in trouble, Lin Shui already knew that something was wrong and had called back most of the mystical sword sect's experts in case of an accident. They had also mobilized hundreds of thousands of elite troops from the major cities to guard the mystical sword sect. Sure enough, 5 days ago, the 10 Direction Sword School had launched a large-scale attack. Apart from hundreds of thousands of troops, there were also a large number of martial arts powerhouses. The mystical sword sect was caught in a great war. However, the mystical sword sect had the home ground advantage. With the 5 great academies as the base of the formation, they activated the 5 ultimate formation. With the 5 ultimate formations, the 10 Direction Sword sect would not be able to enter. After 4 days of intense battle, the mystical sword sect was as stable as Mount Tai. However, Lin Shui and the rest did not expect that the Duanmu family would rebel at this moment. They destroyed the 5 ultimate arrays in one fell swoop, and attacked the mystical sword sect crazily with the help of the 10 Direction Sword sect. The mystical sword sect was caught off guard and suffered countless casualties. In the end, under Lin Shui's leadership, they fought back and barely stabilized the situation. In the sky not far away from the two of them, there were also 2 people engaged in an intense battle. The shockwaves from the battle between the two were not any smaller than Duanmu Songhai and Lin Shui. These were also 2 half-step king warriors. One was from the 10 Direction Sword sect, and the other was from the mystical sword sect. The Mystic Essence Sword sect originally had 3 half-step kings, but now that Duanmu Songhai had betrayed them, only 2 were left. In addition to the peak battle in the sky, fierce battles were also taking place in other places. In the Vermilion Bird Hall in the south, the Vermilion Bird Hall's director Yen Lan was engaged in a fierce battle with the White Tiger Hall's director Duanmu Pajuan. They would not rest until one of them was dead. In the Vermilion Bird Hall, Mulan let out a long cry. Sword light surged and killed an expert from the 10 Direction Sword sect. By now, Mulan's cultivation had already broken through to the martial arts grandmaster realm. Moreover, it had reached an extremely profound level. In the Azure Dragon Court of the East, Zhang Muyun was one with his sword as he fought with an expert from the 10 Direction Sword sect. Duanmu family, I swear to my death that I will never associate with you. Ling Kong bellowed from the White Tiger Hall in the west. Ling Kong bellowed as he charged out of the White Tiger Hall, his body covered in blood. In the sky above Qilin Court, the battle between the 2 young men attracted a lot of attention. Many of the people in the battle looked over from time to time. This was because these 2 people were too famous in the mystical sword sect. Feng Wuji, one of the 6 heroes. The other person was actually Duanmu Lin. At this moment, Duanmu Lin and Feng Wuji were engaged in an intense battle. The 2 of them continued to bombard each other with terrifying power. Duanmu Lin is too shocking. He actually managed to fight to a draw with Feng Wuji? Feng Wuji has already broken through to the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm a while ago. But Duanmu Lin is not any weaker than him. This is shocking, too shocking. Many of the elders and deacons of the mystical sword sect could not help but feel shocked during the battle. Duanmu Lin was a rare genius with an astonishing cultivation speed. The others were also constantly improving, but he had actually caught up. Feng Wuji, is this your true strength? You've really disappointed me. If I was born a few years earlier, I would have already trampled you under my feet. Duanmu Lin let out a long hiss and was extremely arrogant. Duanmu Lin, no matter how strong you are, you're just a traitor. You'll be punished by the world. Feng Wuji howled. What a joke, Feng Wuji, you're really a joke. The winner is the king and the loser is the villain. History is written by the winner, don't you know this? Duanmu Lin laughed. The two of them continued to battle, and it was extremely intense. In the sky, Lin Shui and Duanmu Songhai's battle was getting more and more intense. Duanmu Songhai, you're too naive if you think you can destroy us with just your ability. Lin Shuilin shouted angrily. Who said it's only them? At this moment, a domineering voice came from the distance. Hiss hiss hiss. Then a hissing sound spread out. Upon hearing this voice, Duanmu Songhai was overjoyed and he laughed, haha, we've finally arrived. Whoosh! In the distance a fiery red light flashed like lightning. The next moment, the light disappeared, and a huge ferocious centipede appeared in the air. This centipede was really huge. It was more than 100 meters long and its body was red. The most shocking thing was that it had 3 pairs of huge wings. The 2 sides of its body were covered with dense claws. The claws cut through the void like blades. On the back of the centipede there were dozens of people. Each of them had a strong aura like a mountain. The person in the lead was dressed in iron armor, and his aura was as deep as the ocean. 1,000-foot giant centipede. Yin Moon South conquering king. Lin Shui roared in disbelief. On the back of the giant centipede was the Yin Empire's Lord Zhenan Yin Tianjue. Ha ha ha, Lin Shui. How about we join forces and destroy the mystical sword sect? Yin Tianjue laughed. Despicable. How dare you collude with the Dark Moon Empire? Lin Shui roared in anger. What collusion? No wonder he was defeated. Duanmu Songhai's shriveled face revealed a sinister smile that was extremely horrifying. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.